Well, good. I mean, yeah. I don't know what to say in these instances to make anybody feel better about not doing something that was clearly the right thing to do.
Well, a great way to start thinking about it is to realize that it's not our responsibility to fix, but just be there. Hi, I'm Rick Glassman, and today's guest is Sona. Last name, never been able to pronounce.
No, okay. Well, thank you for trying to.
I didn't try to.
I know. I was being sarcastic.
How do you say it?
Movsesian.
You say it like you said Smith.
Yeah.
Movsesian.
Yeah. Movsesian.
Thanks, Dad.
Hot. Do you want an ice cube?
Scoot doo, blabbity blue, scoop dee. Oh yeah!
A green-black combination. Did you get this from a souvenir shop?
I actually got that from a Rite Aid 10 years ago, and I have the video. We'll cut to a clip.
Excuse me, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, wait, let me see that real quick.
Sir. Thank you.
I'm laughing.
And we're back.
All right, now snap again until I get everything set up.
That bag upsets me. Just like a plastic bag on a tree. It's symbolism for climate change. Who does that? Rick, you've got very nice taste.
Thank you.
Has anyone ever told you that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like that coffee table is really nice. Even your tray is cute.
Thank you. What do you think about the rug?
I love the rug. Can you tell me where you got it from?
Marshall Rug Gallery. It's my father's area store in Cleveland, Ohio, and they have been doing such great things. And I don't just mean making people's homes warmer. I also mean feeding the community, because right now we're in a difficult time. And as you know, the healthcare workers, they're the real superheroes. So we'd like to give a big thanks to Marshall Rug Gallery for bringing food to why don't we show you?
I'm Matt Ween from Marshall Carpet and Rug Gallery. Our family has been serving the community for 3 generations. And in 55 years, we, like you, have never experienced anything this challenging. We all owe a debt of gratitude to our first responders, doctors, and medical workers for all they continue to do. So to help and thank the community that's been supporting us during this time, we are donating meals from our local restaurants to our first responders and hospitals. Please stay safe and stay well. At Marshall Carpet and Rug Gallery, we've got you covered.
Do you want your levels louder?
Can I warn you that I am a loudspeaker? And if you level me up, there might be moments where I'm super
Yeah. I meant more in your
Armenian.
cans.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. What does super Armenian mean? Is
Like
that
I'm like this.
Gotcha.
I'm like this. Like I talk loudly with
Right.
my hands, and I think this is a normal speaking voice.
It sounds like you're doing an Italian or a Jewish.
I think there's a lot of similarities. Aren't you like that too? I mean, you're Jewish.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I come from a pretty boisterous family, but I'm pretty subdued. Some people in high school used to call me a subdued, and I would go like this. Whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Subdued.
Oh, okay. So
like that.
when I start podcasts, normally I've gotten into a rhythm where I'm comfortable. I'm in my living room. Everything is set up. I'm
Sure.
fine. We turn it on. Come on in. I usually start it before people even come in. So potentially, if there's any fun stuff about let me get you a tea or whatever it might be, jump cut it, have a fun cold open. But now when I'm doing these on the balcony or on the street, and some of these I've been doing drone shots, and I'm just once we're done, I'm just like, oh, now I have to have a conversation. And I'm just like, I'm not in conversation mode.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Wait, because you're spending so much time setting up.
Yeah, there's something like even. What did you say to me when you walked in? How would you explain what you said to me?
Well, first of all, you scolded me because of the way I was going to take off my shoes. I haven't seen you in months, and you instantly just scolded
Instead
me.
of saying scolded, because that's a term that I wouldn't use. Why don't you just say instructed?
Do you think your tone was instructional, or do you think your tone was a little angry?
I believe you that it came across as aggressive. Yes, my intention wasn't that. My intention was, don't step on the outdoor carpet with your socks.
Yeah.
And then come into I can't even tell you the price, because I want you to know from Marshall Art Gallery, we have things that we could put in the foyer for a one-bedroom apartment, as well as doing LeBron James's house, which he did.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he meet him?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think so. I've met him.
But he's been in his... Did he smell things?
I don't think he installed it.
Okay.
I think he worked with a decorator. LeBron didn't come in and like, yeah, that's good. My SNL audition tape. And LeBron James.
Well, I think that if I was in someone's house who is like a LeBron, I would want to just smell things.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know. That's weird. I shouldn't have said that.
I sometimes like to show different clips of things that happen on the podcast, and I have a fun clip of Blake Griffin doing a LeBron James impression. I would like to cut to that real quick.
Okay.
If I get a small role in the new Space Jam movie, which, do you have anything to do with this?
I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Okay. Well, if I had a small role in that.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And they, as a comedian, like looking for people who could still play ball.
Right.
And then they actually saw me, and LeBron came up to me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, you could actually hoop. I would remind him, hey, man, we played against each other in high school.
Yeah.
And then he would be like, for real? Was that racist the way I said for real?
No, not at all.
All right, how could I do it racist?
How could you do it racist?
Yeah.
All right, ready? I think you say word.
Right. But you could do that. At least you could do half of that. Yeah.
Say.
Yeah. Right.
And hold on. And we're back. And we're back.
Well, we're going to use all three, of course. So, yeah, people come over. So anyway, what I'm getting at is I know I'm going to calm down in a couple of minutes and then have a conversation with you, but I'm still not completely present in...
Are you excited?
Yeah, I love talking to you. When we were texting this weekend, I told you, and this is the truth, that whenever I'm done talking with you, I just feel better. There's also something like our relationship. Yeah, our relationship is 90% of it, we see each other on the Warner Brothers lot. So whenever I'm on the Warner Brothers lot, I'm also like, whenever I'm done working or looking or begging for work, before going home, I'm like, okay, I'm either in a good mood, I'm going to go over to Conan, or I'm in a bad mood, I'm going to go over to Conan, and I'll either do bits or you'll say, how are you? And I'll be like, I don't know. But like, I could see I could see outside of all the tangibles that you give to Conan, the very specific form of nurturing that you give, which is applauding without it being unearned. Does that make sense?
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
You laugh at what's funny.
Yes.
You don't at what's not.
Right.
But it's always positive.
You're right. I do. I like to think that I'm a positive person. And can I say, to that end, when I come into my desk or back to my desk and I had just missed you, you always leave these little notes, and I've kept, I think, all of them.
No.
I have. You gave me a card once, and there's two young girls on the cover. It's their back. They're both wearing flowing
It was a different
dresses.
time.
Yeah. And you said one was me and one was you. I kept that. It's
Why
on
did I
my
get you a
desk.
card? Was there a reason?
I think there was a thank you card for something. I can't remember what it was for.
I think I think you do remember, but you're cautious of saying it.
I am. I do.
I read that on you well.
Yeah.
It's okay. There was a girl I was dating who was sick, and I was sick.
Yeah.
And she needed Gatorade, and you brought it to Santa Monica for her. And it was that moment where I realized, Oh, that's what a nice girl does.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember. That was really sweet of you, too, to do that for her. Because I was living in Santa
real
Monica
nice
at
of
the
me.
time. Well, it was. Because I was living in Santa Monica.
Right.
You said, she's sick. Can you just take over some Gatorade to her? And I did, because she wasn't that far from me. And it was, you were just so sweet and appreciative, and so was she. And it was really nice. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you also left me a headshot of David Schwimmer.
My headshot.
It's of David Schwimmer.
It's a picture of David Schwimmer, but it's the headshot I use for auditions.
Do you give those to casting agents?
Yeah. Did you see my name, Rick Glassman, at the bottom?
I did. I thought that was just like a bit. I didn't know you used it.
For all my auditions. I did the last commercial that I did. I booked because the callback. They didn't want me for it. I think they wanted like real soldiers. It was for USAA Bank or something. and they were like, "Are you a soldier?" And I went, "No." Do you know how many things I had to wipe down to give to Sona?
Are you a soldier?
I can't watch movies of war without bathing. So they laughed, but of course not for me. But later they called me back and they gave me a different spot in a different commercial, and they said the headshot was so funny we had to give you something.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. No, I love that. And then I think there was another postcard too. Not a postcard, a Post-it that you left on my note that I just sort of kept it wherever you put it.
Yeah, it's always a bummer because you're my Warner Brothers friend. I know other people there, and sometimes my friends are working and they're there, but not to say that you're not working, but when you're working, you're accessible.
Yeah.
So I have never gone to Warner Brothers without like seeing if you're there.
Remember when you guys were shooting there? You were like 2 stages away from us.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I'd visit you guys all the time on the Undateable set.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
It's worth setting up for people watching that. A couple weeks ago we had Brent Morin on, and Brent was what was he? What was his job? He says a PA, but it wasn't really, was it?
He was like a stand-in. He started off as a PA and then he became a stand-in. I mean, I don't know.
And how did you and Brent become such good friends?
He would stand outside Conan's dressing room every day when we were inside doing a meeting for the top of the show, for the mono. We would do a pre-show meeting, and Brent would just stand outside of his door. Monologue. And Brent would just stand outside his door, and then...
because that was his job, or he just was a fan?
Can I be honest? I don't know why he stood there. I really don't.
What does that mean? He's standing there for how long? 20 minutes?
The entire time we were in the meeting. I have no idea why he was...
Like security?
I think if people wanted to give something to someone in the room, they would give it to Brent and then he would take it in. Or if we needed something, we'd be like, Brent, can you go get blah, blah, blah. But after Brent left, we never filled that position. And to be honest, I don't think that anyone notices that no one is out there anymore.
And you guys became really good friends.
We did. We were both young when we first started. I mean, we're still young, but we were much younger. I loved flirting with Brent. It never went into anything more, but just like...
Did you like him?
I loved flirting with him, but I wasn't like, I really hope Brent asks me out. I think because I knew how he was.
Yeah, well, and even people that do like Brent don't hope that he asks them out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think
so
I
you
ever
liked
wanted.
him.
I don't think I did. I think looking back on it, I just really enjoyed the back and forth we had. But if he ever asked me out, I think it would have been very like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Because I also just love being friends with him.
Yeah, he's an easy person to flirt with.
He is.
Yeah.
I think his default, especially when it comes to women, is to just flirt.
I meant that. I mean, I'm sure it also with women, but I'm even like my relationship with him. It's very flirtatious. It's
how so?
Talking about each other's bodies, sometimes critiquing, sometimes complimenting, but always with like eyes on it. I remember we went to a 4th of July party at a friend's house, and I was there with a girl of which we never end up doing anything with, but there was like the openings of it. Maybe we were. And I was scared to make a move on her because of how it's always just the most terrifying thing in the world, because I never know even if they kiss me back, is like, were they being nice?
Oh,
so instead of making a move, I do what girls love. I make jokes and pretend. So we're sitting outside. It's on the water, and there's an indoor-outdoor type of environment. And I was going to go in to get water or whatever, and I got up and I leaned into her, and I said, "I know my friends are watching."
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna make it look like I'm, kissing you on the cheek and doing small talk, but I'm just getting the water. And if you're not interested, that's fine, but just act interested, and then I go and I hop up the steps or whatever. And then Brent and Adam Ray, you know Adam, yeah?
Yeah.
They were both together, and later they individually texted me and saying, "That was the smoothest shit I have ever seen." This girl's very pretty, and I just got up, and they knew that I didn't know her that well. And I said, "Yeah, I was just telling her, please pretend like you're interested so you guys think." But they were both just like, "Dude, it was so smooth." And the way they were doing it wasn't like a "good for you, buddy." It was like flirtatious.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say in like a teach us.
No.
Way,
it was like
they were flirting with you.
You're the man.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like when we play basketball, if something looks cool, it's like, that was cool. Brent and I have talked numerous times that we are at our best when black teenagers are watching us, and that extends past basketball. It's just if there's black teenagers, you want their validation,
Okay.
So sometimes when there's black teenagers around, Brent will try and do things in basketball that he can't do, like and one moves and spins and flips and cool layups.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to look sexy with it, and just like he even looks over to them, like.
Why
squinting.
black teenagers specifically?
Because they have good like, not to say that they don't work hard for it.
Sure.
But statistically,
Sure.
You get a 10 black teenagers and 10 anything else. The abs are going to be more on the black teenagers. You know what I mean? And also they're just good at they're just good at. I guess specifically basketball is what we're talking about, but just things. They're just cool, and they're confident, and they don't mind losing. There's something kind of sexy about a guy getting turned down who goes, "All right,"
Yeah,
and they're just like, whatever,
Confidence. Sure.
A lot of times they could show how confident they are because they call girls ma. There's something about that that it's like, whatever, ma. It's like, oh.
Oh wow. So
Anyway.
you guys try to impress. How often are you in the presence of teenagers?
All the time.
Okay.
When you're playing basketball, it's black teenagers and then, comics who want to be black teenagers. But I have you over here at my house for the second time ever podcasting, and I don't want to waste it talking about one of my, other than Magic the Gathering cards, my favorite thing, which is black teenagers. Now, I want to talk more about the experiences that you have had with Conan and the Conan show. But before I do, and please be honest with me, is that something that is annoying for you?
No, it's not annoying at all. It is not lost on me that I work for one of the best comedic minds probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, there's a lot of times, even now, 11 years later, where I'll do something that I never thought I would be able to do, and I'm just being like, and I just...
What do you mean?
Like, I met, Michelle Obama
Right.
a couple years ago. What?
She's funny. That was a good sketch. Speaking of black teenagers, she looks fantastic.
She does. She looks amazing. But yeah, there's like, so I really don't mind ever talking about it because I feel like I'm one of those people who's just shouldn't be there, and I am.
Shouldn't be there.
I shouldn't be
Why
doing
did
my
you-
job.
Yeah.
What am I doing assisting Conan O'Brien? How did that happen?
How did that happen?
How did that happen?
What happened 11 years ago?
Well, I was working at NBC.
Doing
I
what?
didn't know you then. That's right. Yeah.
No, I met you probably a year before Undateable.
Yes.
Just I met you through Brent. He's, you're friends with him, and I went to, I think, one of the Conan holiday parties.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 11 years ago, you're working for NBC.
11 years ago, I'm a page at NBC. Even getting that job is
In
weird.
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, because getting a page job at NBC, becoming an NBC page is very difficult.
Yeah. What's the process for that? I've heard that before.
You have to have a GPA. I think it's above 3 point something. You have to have graduated college, and you think that that's it. but you realize you really have a leg up if you know somebody at NBC who can vouch for you.
And what's the it's almost like an internship. Like nobody wants to be a professional. Most people probably don't want to be a professional page, with the exception of what's his name from 30 Rock.
Yeah.
But like the goal is that's an in, right, into the business.
It is. It's like a gateway program. So you graduate and then you have a page class. So there's like 6 other people that start with you. Then they want for 6 weeks for you to give tours of the lot. So I gave tours of the Burbank lot, which was boring. Like, it's just not a good lot to give tours of. And you have to wear this stupid uniform. But then when you're done with that time, you could start applying for assignments. So if you're interested in, like, development, you can apply for an assignment in development if something opens
After
up.
what? How long?
After 6 weeks. So then you start competing with other pages for assignments in specific departments, because there's usually only one assignment.
Are there only
available.
7 pages?
No, there's like 40.
Oh, so it's just each class is 7.
Each class is 7. So you start with like, a certain number of people, and you guys start together. You start doing tours, but then you're part of the bigger pool of pages. But it's only a year. And in that year, I think they assume that you will get on assignment, make enough connections, and then when there's a job, you get a job. And if you don't, you just stop being a page. I know pages that have done the full year, never got on assignment, just did tours for the whole year, and then when they were done, they left NBC and maybe television. Sorry.
What was your goal? Why become a page? What was like? I'm going to go to page school after graduating, studying what?
Communication. I studied communication at USC. Probably the best communication school.
And you wanna be in show business?
I wanted to work in television. I
As
didn't
you're
know.
Drinking from the Hollywood mug.
I know. I wanted to
cheating it
I
out.
wanted to work in show business. I wanted to work in television. I didn't know what I wanted to do in television. I actually thought I'd get into scheduling or research.
Why television?
I did internships in movies and TV, and I like TV more. I like that you see what you did much quicker than if you worked on a movie where you had to wait like a year until you see the final product.
So you're giving tours in Burbank wearing a suit. It's probably too hot a lot of the time.
It's awful.
And then what was the first assignment that you got?
Events and operations.
Okay. And what does that do?
That was so much fun. It's all the like wrap parties and premiere parties, press conference, any event that the publicity department had, I helped put it together.
So you're 22 at this point?
I'm 22, maybe 23, and I'm putting together all these events, and through these events, I did the travel for the entire SNL cast one year when they came to LA to do something called a press tour, where they do like this big press event.
So what does that mean? You talk to the airlines and the hotels?
Yeah, I talked. So there's the one publicist for SNL, which at the time was this guy named Mark Lippis.
Shout out to Mark Lippis, by the way. We'll put his Instagram handle up here.
Shout out to Mark Lippis. So Mark Lippis was the publicist for SNL, and so he would tell me, be like, oh, Tina Fey wants to fly on this flight, and so I'd book it, and I'd book her a room at the hotel and whatever, and then I did that for the entire cast, and so Mark was also the publicist for Late Night with Conan O'Brien, which is, and then he and I got along, and then when I found out Conan was moving here, I emailed Mark, and I was like, hey, can you put in a good word for me?
When was Conan? When did Conan do his year for the late night year in NBC? What was that?
What do you mean?
He did.
He did Late Night from.
He did it for. Wasn't only 1 year? Was it 2?
Late Night with Conan O'Brien. He did for like 16
No,
years.
no.
Oh.
The one where he took over Leno's spot.
The Tonight Show.
Tonight Show. Thank you. When
Yeah.
was Tonight Show?
2009.
And before Tonight Show, wasn't it in New York?
Yeah. So he moved out here, and then I started working for him when he moved out to Los Angeles.
Those dates don't match up to me. That means he moved out here in 2008.
No, he moved out here in 2009. The show premiered, I want to say, in June 2009. So he moved out here in like February or March.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
2000, because that's when I moved out here.
You moved out here in 2009?
2008.
Rick, happy 12 years.
Thanks. It's been okay.
Has it?
Yeah.
I think it's been more than okay.
it's been good.
Do you ever think I need to move back to Cleveland?
Constantly.
Are you serious?
I mean, as a joke, no. I like being home with my parents, and work is tough, when it comes and goes. And I don't know how, but the money I've made I think the only money I've ever made was 3 years ago for 3 years. I don't know if I've ever made money before or after, but I have the same amount of money I've made.
What?
I've invested well in my comics, my magic cards, stocks, and Bitcoin. And
wait, really?
I have. But I just got to the point the past, I don't know, since end of last year where I have no money in the bank, which is scary.
Yeah.
I'm out of money. But then I'm like, all my investments, the amount of money that which I'd like to pretend doesn't exist because I don't want to be selling the stocks. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This amount of money is how much I made on the TV show. So, that's nice.
That's good.
But having it in stocks but seeing my balance at $1,000 or $800, I got to move back to Cleveland. That's how I feel like. I'd rather move home than sell my Apple at this point.
Well, that's how my brother is a financial advisor.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Danny is a financial advisor, and he's all about investing and then not looking at it for a long time.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I don't even know how much there is there. But he's also the one who told me to buy a condo when I did, which was the smartest thing I've ever done.
Yep. I was at the place where I was about to do that in January of 2018, where I was starting to, I had enough money to where I wasn't going to live there. I wanted to buy it and rent it out. I had a lot of Bitcoin. And
you keep saying Bitcoin. Are you for reals about Bitcoin?
I had not just Bitcoin, a lot of different cryptos. And
cryptos?
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know that,
You say mono, I figured I could just we could leave out the log and currencies, Speaking of good investments, I would like to give a shout out to our investor or our advertiser, Manscaped electric trimmers. We'll be right back with a clip. So being stuck in quarantine has given a lot of us this post-apocalyptic look, and considering that I am one of the hot guys of podcasting, I wanted to show you my routine. And I don't know how to cut my own hair, but there are certain grooming tricks that we can do, and I'm just going to walk you through what it is. So first of all, my hair is all over the place. Perfect. Support for Take Your Shoes Off podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in below-the-belt men's grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tooling to allow you to make your dick look much bigger. Look how big my dick is. The problem was, sometimes when I trim around my penis, I'd nip my nutsack. NMN. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has spent 18 months creating the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. This is a premium product. It features a ceramic blade to reduce manscaping accidents. The rechargeable battery lasts up to 90 minutes. Its water-resistant technology allows you to groom in the shower. Its LED light allows you to illuminate your asshole or any other grooming areas for a closer, more precise trim. Removing unwanted pubic hair adds inches onto your meaty cock. And I ask you again, please, just look at how big my penis is. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Promo code SHOESOFF. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code SHOESOFF. Before I used this razor, my dick was only this big. And after using Manscaped, now my dick is this big. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. No. Oh! And we're back, and what a deal. So in January of 2018, crypto logs went up a whole bunch, and I was in London at the time without my wallets, and I couldn't sell anything. And it got to a point where for a week, every day I was making $30,000-$40,000.
What?
It was madness. by the time I got back from London, it had already dipped a bit. So I was waiting, and hey, shout out to my Glassman Boppers and Goblins. Listen to this advice. Always take some profits. Doesn't mean sell everything. Take your profits. I didn't do it. And then...
So wait, if you sell it, I'm so sorry. This is, for people who understand this stuff, it's going to be dumb. When you sell it and you said it's $30,000, $40,000, that's human dollars?
No, not human dollars. Yeah, human dollars.
What? So you sell one Bitcoin?
So, just like it's the same thing as stocks. The difference is, I mean, as far as investment logic is, it's the same as stocks. Except for it's much, 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 much more volatile.
Yeah.
So when, 4 times a year when a stock announces its earnings, the price is already fixed because they know the next day it's going to go up or down. Everything's built in already, and speculation already changes it. Rogan just announced he's going to Spotify.
Right.
Which is huge, which is what Stern did for Sirius. And it's a big change in not just the landscape of podcasting, but of streaming music and Spotify as a company. The stock went up 8%.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
They
must be paying him a fortune.
I understand it's more than they'll ever make back, but it will give them a foothold in this space.
Jeez.
But with crypto, there would be days like I go to bed and I wake up and it went up 125%. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. But that one thing, which is crazy, happened 4 days in a row. So this coin that I bought for 98 cents and I put significant money into it.
Yeah.
Now I'm in London and it's $1.20. The next day it's $2 something. And then by the end of the week, it was at $7. So it's 7 times. I'm making so much money. I'm buying suits. I'm buying glasses. But it's all unrealized gains. I didn't sell anything.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got home, how am I going to pay for this fucking suit? You know what I mean? I wanted a condo, and now I can't do Postmates anymore.
Oh no!
I remember I got home. I remember I was talking to Brent because I made so much money. I spent so much money. I came home. I had the suit, but not the coins anymore. And Brent was like, "How was London?" I'm like, that trip cost me $7,000. I'm in my 1-bedroom apartment, terrified to go on the balcony without 4 pairs of socks, Anyway.
Oh, Rick. Oh, no. But good for you. You're good at investing stuff.
I invest like a collector, not an investor. Which I invest in things that I believe will appreciate, but it's art to me, and I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to sell my coins. I don't want to sell my comics. I don't want to sell my magic cards.
Yeah.
I like going into my safe and going into bed at night sometimes, holding my little beta starter deck and just 14-year-old Rick would come if he saw this in my, you know what I mean? But
do you have security?
I don't keep everything here anymore. I have things in safety security boxes.
That's good.
I also do have safes, and I have stuff hidden, and it's not all in the same place.
Yeah.
And it's not the most efficient, but, I want to be able to look at my comics. I don't want to just in it.
You can't put that away, but you should definitely, I don't know, get an alarm. Why don't you get an alarm?
I have alarms and dogs and I have weapons here, so.
Yeah, you do.
So nobody fucking better try anything. I do have weapons under my bed, but it's weapons where it's like they weren't meant for weapons. Whenever I have something like if a golf club breaks, or something that's sharp, I guess in the middle of the night, if I need to, I know it's under my bed. It'll give me the confidence to go out instead of under the covers. You know?
Yeah, I get that. You know what? We moved into a house recently, and my husband, Tack, wanted to buy a gun. And I've never lived in a house with a gun. And I was like, I can't live in a house with a gun. I can't feel safe. And he's like, well, how am I going to protect us? And I was like, you have to figure something out. So he's
been taking Taekwondo classes for the past 5 months.
He actually does karate. But he bought a bow and arrow. He bought
Who's there?
legit style, gigantic bow and arrow.
Has he been practicing?
He has outside. He's been practicing
in
the yard. He's fine. He's good. But if we have a home invasion, what?
And I'm liking to picture this. Not only is it a home invasion, the home invader has you hostage.
Oh, okay.
With a gun.
Yeah.
And he is there with his bow and arrow.
Yeah, he's like Legolas.
And it would look a little something like this. See if we can animate it.
Oh, please. That'd be cool.
Also, George, don't cut away from that snap. I'll snap again because that was a great Legolas reference.
You just went right through it.
I did, but I registered it, and I want to acknowledge it. I am gluten-free now, so I'm getting the gluten-free Legolases. But
Wait, what?
you talking about the waffle? We'll be right back with a word from who makes waffles. We'll see.
Eggos.
Eggos. Thank you. Here's where maybe we put in a cartoon, if we can, of her being held hostage with tack with a bow and arrow, and somebody's eating a waffle during this.
Oh my God. Who are you talking to, George? Who's George?
George is I wanted to say my Sona, but he's not because
He's not here.
also that is not what George is at all.
Is he a producer?
Yeah.
Is he a Gorley?
He helps. So what's a Gorley?
Gorley's our producer.
Oh, a Gorley. I
Yeah.
didn't know. That's Matt.
Matt.
I don't
yes.
know. Yeah. So yes, he is. What he does is when I'm done, he listens to every episode, and I both give notes between the snaps to camera. I also give notes on the documents that we have, and then he marks those notes, does the things that he can, and also will take out certain things that you don't need this or, and it's a nice process. And also he helps me. He is the one who has validated the idea that Rick, everything doesn't have to be funny.
Right.
Which is great for the podcast. I think it's great for the podcast. It's great for me to be reminded and told, because that thing that I think is my value is the thing that annoys people the most.
You thought you always had to be funny?
Not consciously,
Oh.
but
Is that in real life too?
yeah.
Oh.
It's changed a lot over the past 4 years.
I was going to say, can I say something?
I'd rather you didn't.
I'm
And we'll
not
be right back.
Okay.
If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall Carpet One, you'll certainly find them.
I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings, but when I first met you and you and Brent were together and you guys were constantly trying to one-up each other.
Flirt.
Is it flirting?
It's a form of it, a competitive flirt, but I understand.
I wanted to jump off the roof a little bit.
Oh.
There were moments when I wanted to jump off.
Was
the
he
roof.
bad too?
Both of you.
Oh, thank God.
No, it wasn't just
Okay.
you. And I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings. It was exhausting because you guys were very and I loved it. At first it was really funny, and then it just wouldn't end after a while. And I love hanging out with you guys, and I love when you're both sincere and when you're both just real. And I think back when I first met you guys, you were both so caught up in constantly doing bits and trying to be funny that it was exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting for me.
Yeah. Did I hurt your feelings?
Not at all.
Oh, good. Okay.
Not at all. When I came into some new self-awareness over the past few years, I've started to see this as information more than an attack on me.
Good.
And it has really opened up my communication with people and my ways, not just to take criticism, but to see other people's perspectives, because I really value it, because I've learned that I'm not wrong for thinking I'm funny, and you're not wrong for thinking it's too loud or whatever it is.
It's not even loud, because I think you're hilarious. When I see you do stand-up, I think that I might be laughing probably the hardest and the loudest. I just adore you. But I think when we first met and you and Brent were both just constantly making jokes, that I think me saying I wanted to jump off the roof was a little harsh.
Please.
It was a lot.
But
I love you both, and I would hang out with you in a second, which means that I love you guys. I would never.
Thank you.
I
have friends in my life that have kicked me out of basketball games, poker games, and told me they don't want me around. So saying that you want to jump off a roof, is at least you're doing damage to you. But I'm not. I get it. I need to know.
Why? Why did people kick you out of those?
I've told you about the Bill Lawrence basketball game.
Do you get too intense and too competitive?
Yeah, that's the thing. My first form of friendships with people that weren't just nerds who played Magic were when I made the basketball team, and I was wanted around because I got good at basketball. So then my value was being good at basketball. So it wasn't about having a good time. It was about winning, because when you're playing competitive basketball, that is what it is. Good times come with a win. Now when I'm playing with 42-year-old comedy writers and I'm running through picks and walking over people and trying to dunk, I say trying because I'm being modest, dunking on people. It's like, and yelling when people are shooting threes when it's a 3-on-1 fast break or a 2-on-1 fast break. It's like, come to the hoop. Come to the fuck. And also, by the way, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. That's cut to the fucking hoop.
Yeah.
You shoot 20% from there. I'm pretty sure either of us will make a layup, and it's a 2-point game. What are you doing? But it's like, well, we don't want Rick around. You know what the problem was? They didn't tell me that they wanted to jump off a roof. They told Bill. So now, so I need people. We all need people to say how we feel, and if I can't take that, that's on me. And how am I going to know?
But that's not how I feel now.
I believe
We've
that.
all grown up, all of us. I mean, I know I was very annoying and immature back then when we first met, and I'm sure I did things that pissed people off. But
I only know you as this thing that. And I mean this in a good way, has not changed from the day, maybe just the way I see it, has not changed from the day I met you. It's just like, and what you are, and this is one of the things I love so much about your relationship with Conan and what you have to offer to him. Like, you know right and wrong. You probably don't, that's not a real thing, but I trust it.
Yeah.
He seems to trust it. Nope, too much? Yep, that's funny. You know what I'm saying? And that is just a nice thing when you have someone in your life who you trust, because you need, I believe, people, I know I need this as much as I need, no. No. But you need to trust that person.
right.
And I don't know, I've never known you to be annoying or have bad instincts.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. But I know I've grown up a lot.
How so? What?
You know what I do now that I didn't do back then is I'm way more comfortable taking responsibility of things when I mess up. And I've gotten very good about, if I start an argument with someone and then they prove that I'm wrong about it, I will admit that I was wrong, which is not something I would have done. Because I don't know if you know this about me. I am a national speech champion. So I get very, technical when I argue with people and very argumentative sometimes. And back then I would never admit if someone disproved something I was saying, and now I will.
Did you know that they disproved it and you didn't want to admit it, or did you not let yourself recognize it?
I think it's the first one.
Oh, so you knew it, but you were trying to hide them.
I knew it, and I was doubling down on whatever I was saying, which is never
Is there a
the
moment
right
that made you realize no more?
You know what I think? It might have been when I met Tak, my husband. Because we have, not arguments, debates a lot about things. Because we don't look at the world the same way. And he has gotten me to the point where I'm very big on, like, you're right. That's right. And you're right. And I'm going to change what I do.
Why? Is it because you trust him?
He probably. Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be it. I don't know. I think as Americans, we're not good at admitting when we're wrong. I think it's like an American thing. Does that make sense?
It makes. I don't have an opinion on that. It makes sense to
Really?
me. I don't know if I agree or disagree with that.
How are you? If you think something and then someone's like finds a way to prove otherwise, are you very good about like just being like, huh?
I would say I'm good at it, and I would say that everybody else that knows me would disagree with that. Because I love debating, and I'm good at making my point. I like it. It feels competitive to me. It doesn't mean that I don't see your point, but there is a part of me that does want to be right. So I can't. I would like to be able to tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
While at the same time, I am able to say it if it's like, yeah, you could be making a point that makes sense, but if you're denying my logic, then we're having two different conversations.
Right.
And it's circles.
You know, when you were talking about being competitive, it reminded me, because I'm really competitive,
Yes.
really competitive. And, I brought up being a national speech champion, which I bring up all the time.
Uh-huh.
It happened 17 years ago. I bring
Today,
it up.
actually.
Yeah, today. I honestly have no idea. What is May 20th? No, it was.
I'm saying today it's been 17 years. It's a date joke that I do all the time.
Oh, okay. So it was 17 years ago I became a national speech champion. I bring it up like maybe 3 or 4 times a week Just in talking to
You brought it up
strangers.
twice today.
I sure did, because I'm a national speech champion. But then
This is high school.
Yeah, high school. And so I love winning.
Again, that's high school.
No,
not
sorry.
college.
This is college. This was college. I misunderstood you. It's college. It was a college nationals.
You were in college 17 years ago?
Yeah, I'm 37.
Okay, you're dating yourself.
What do you mean? I gave you my age.
Okay. Well, 11 years 11 years ago is when you started working with Conan. You were a page at 22. That would imply 33. Just letting you know, certain things didn't add up timeline-wise.
No, I was a page. Was I a page at 22? How long do you think I was working at NBC?
Well, couldn't have been a page for longer than a year.
I worked at NBC. I was a page, and then I got a job and worked there for a few years.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah, you never cleared that up with me. Did you say you're right?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Anyway, I joined a dodgeball team, and we lost every single game. And at first, I was like, this is the most tragic moment of my life. And I was having so much fun, I stopped caring. Now I don't care anymore.
I assumed you had never lost anybody, or you just really cared about this dodgeball
No, I
team?
love winning. I just love winning. And when we joined, this dodgeball team was so bad that we would lose badly every single time. And I don't know if you know what that feeling is when you go into a game and you're like, I'm going to lose this game.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on one hand, I'm grateful that my skills have allowed me to never experience that.
Oh.
But on the other hand, it would be nice to have known what it's like, just so I could relate to a girl. You know, Kobe said, by the way,
Yeah.
that
R.I.P.
how important sports are for young people, not just for those that can make it to the professional level, because sports teach you how to lose.
Yeah.
And how you feel like part of the DNA of championship teams going on and being able to win again, because, you know, they have veterans and or people who've experienced this high of a level of competition, is it feels like it's everything to you. And it is. And then you lose, and then it's the next season. And then after a couple of times of those, the best thing I could relate to, because unfortunately I chose comedy instead of the NBA, because I don't think I would have been a star in the NBA, is getting throat cultures. And I would always be scared of the stick down my throat. And then after, it took maybe, you know, until I was in my mid to late 20s before I realized every time I'm scared, after I do it, I'm like, that was fine.
Yeah.
So I'm able to tell myself, even though emotionally I'm still scared, I'm able, like, who cares?
Did you say you didn't join the NBA because you wouldn't have been a star? So you think you
I
would
don't
have
have the
gone
build for it.
in the NBA?
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
For sure.
for sure you would have been in the NBA.
I would have, I don't know how much, what my impact I would have had statistically on the court in gameplay. I know I would have had a lot with the camaraderie in the team and in practices and giving everything. But yeah, I could have been in the NBA.
So wait, you played in high school?
I played in high school, not much.
Did you play in college?
Intramural.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But that was only because of, you know, I wasn't able to play a Division I basketball.
Intramural, you mean like with friends?
I would call them enemies. You know, and mind you, this was a Division I Kent State where we were playing against the football players. And let me remind you that that some of these players ended up going to the NBA. And some of these players on the football team ended up, you know, like Antonio Gates was on the basketball team and he ended up being a star in the NFL. So I played
This
with...
is intramural.
You call it intramural, and I would agree.
Well, you called it that,
Yeah.
and I'm repeating what you said. So
Listen,
it's
I didn't get
there's
really...
no money. There are jerseys.
Just shirts.
You pay for the shirts.
I actually am the only team in the league who got sponsored. We got sponsored by Coney Dogs, and they didn't give us money. I said, listen, you don't have to give us anything. We won last year. We're going to win again. All I ask is you give us shirts. You know?
Oh my God!
Speaking of
this is
sponsors,
incredible.
we'll be right back with a word from Marshall Rug Gallery. Carpet, hardwood, rugs, and luxury vinyl.
Hey.
Yeah, I didn't get really good at basketball until the end of my sophomore year of college. And at that point, we're going into junior year, and I'm not going to walk on as a junior, but I would practice with the team, kinda, and I once made a really cool pass in a game with a team. So I don't remember if it was an accident or not.
I once made a really cool pass with the team in a game.
So there was this.
Like, I don't even understand your team?
They invited some people for like this tryout type thing.
Yeah.
And it was like these players and then some team players, and we all played together. And there was this fast break moment. And I remember I was coming up, and then they double teamed me. And objectively, here's what happened. I fall. And as I'm falling, I throw the ball behind my back, a bullet to, shout out to Ricky Brooks, his chest, and then he scores a layup. Now, I don't remember if I fell on, I know I didn't fall on purpose, but I don't remember if the pass behind my back was meant to go where it was or not. All I remember was me telling everyone I did it on purpose. I would believe if I had a conversation with 20-year-old me, it would be like, no, I got lucky. I don't know, but it was a bullet pass during a tryout, so I could have been in the NBA.
I love that moment from basketball that you have that is burned into your memory is maybe an accident.
There's a lot of memory. There's a lot of specific memories I have of these moments where I thought to myself, people like me. Like, dunking in a game is a cool thing to do, especially when there's black teenagers around, right? And in college, it's all black teenagers. Okay, that's my 11. So some people want to play Madison Square Garden. I want to play a rec league with black teenagers. But that feeling of that rush, it's from the trauma of not being included and not having value to offer. There really is something of like, it's not just some people feel I'm cool or girls want to fuck me or I'm going to make money doing this for a living. Mine was people want me around.
Wait, so were people mean to you when you were a kid?
No, not really. I just wasn't included. And I didn't even know I wasn't.
What do you mean you weren't included?
Oh, this is another podcast
Sorry.
where no, it's on me and this stuff always comes up and it is my life, but I don't want to talk too much about that stuff. I will say just quickly, people were always nice to me, and people made excuses to not have me around, and I believed the excuses. I never felt not included. My mom always felt I wasn't. My mom would like, "Are you okay?" And I found out later that my mom would sometimes like not like certain kids' moms, and that kind of stuff. But it was fine. I never felt bullied. I just wasn't included, and subconsciously.
But you never felt unincluded.
Subconsciously, I recognize that I'm watching people being invited and go and do, and they were like, "What's up, Rick?" And we only have so much room in the car, or it's so and so's house, and it was like, it's okay, but I wanted to be part of something. Did
you have a crew? Did you have some ride or dies?
Once I started playing basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All you need is a couple ride or dies, and you're good. Michael
Clifford, Jeff Karp, Matt Vangel, not necessarily in that order. Those things went like this.
Yeah.
And they're still my friends today, but they also were, Clifford and Jeff were like really, really good basketball players. So I wanted them to think I'm good. So who gives a shit? I don't want to, I want so many questions I want to ask you.
Yeah. You asked me if it's okay to talk about Conan like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about the page stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And then you went on a little rant about how you're always right.
Yeah.
And
love it. I love being right.
And George, either leaving this comment to you or take this out along with all the basketball talk that maybe people are going to leave the comments. We know you played basketball. Real well, by the way. So you go to page, you do blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? And then...
who gives a shit?
Hypothetically.
Oh, okay.
But the golden origin story is when you start the path that you're on still, which is
I don't know
late night show.
Did we talk about how I got I was a page. I went on assignment and events.
Boring. Yeah, you got Tina Fey at a hotel.
Then I got a job doing what I was doing on assignment, and I did that for a few years. Then I remember, here's how confident I was that I was going to work for Conan, is when I heard that he was moving to LA, I went to HR and I said, I want a job on Conan's Tonight Show when he moves out here. And they're like, well, there's probably not going to be a lot of jobs. I'm like, let me know when the jobs are posted. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
then people would ask me, they were like, well, what are you going to do after after NBC? Like, what's your next step in your career? And I would look at them dead in the eyes and I'd say, I'm going to work for Conan O'Brien. And I said that with such confidence. And now working on the show, I have it. You realize how idiotic it was to be that confident, because no one leaves the show. And also, like,
meaning that there would be no spot for you.
There's no turnover. No
Right.
one ever leaves the show, because it's awesome to work on a late night show, and especially it's awesome to work on this specific late night show just because.
Why is the late night show? And I agree. I can imagine. I mean,
Yes.
just the sound stage and it being a consistent schedule. But could you tell me some of the benefits and why, like, a late night show is a secret gem of a production to be a part of?
It's you tape a show that day and it airs that night, so you see the product as it airs, which isn't normal. Like, you worked on a sitcom and you guys shot it. Oh, actually, you worked on a live sitcom.
When we did
so
it
it's
different.
different.
It was I absolutely, like, what a
It's
cool thing
cool.
to see it.
It's cool to see it right away. Also, I think late night shows in general have so much creativity with the writers. They come up with such incredible things, and now because people know that digital is so important, they want things that can be can live online. And for people to think of some of the things they think of, to just be around that creativity is fun. But also the schedule. You don't find too many shows where you go in at 10, you leave at 6, and you can have a family and not worry about missing, so much time with them. You have hiatus weeks, and we get paid on our hiatus weeks. So there's weeks when we don't even go in, but we still get a paycheck. The schedule's awesome, and some of my best friends work on the show with me, and everyone gets along with each other for the most part. But I can't ever, I don't know, unless you're like a PA and it's hard to move up because there's no turnover, I can't see why anybody would want to leave a late night show once they get a job on it. It's the best. It is.
The writers also, in writers' rooms, on comedies, there's always everybody's funny. But with late night, you're not looking for people who are also, like, good at narrative and story. It's just jokes,
Right.
and that's where Conan comes from. And there isn't a person in the world before or now that has a better instinct for jokes than him.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And just for, like, so I have to imagine that camaraderie of, like, being on the team with Jordan type of thing, of just like, they're all going to be friends, right? Is the writer's room a group of people that come to work and leave, or is it like a team like that?
Well, a lot of them have been working together for a long time. What do you mean? Like, do they?
I'll give you an example. On Undateable, 30% of the writers were also in a weekly basketball game together.
Oh.
And everyone knows each other and plays, and, like, it's not just work.
Yeah.
Where I know other writers' rooms, they show up, how you doing, they leave, and that's the end of it.
Oh, no, everybody's like, they're all friends with each other. Because you know what else? There's a lot of stand-ups who work as writers on our show. And a lot of people who have improv backgrounds, and so they perform together.
What's the turnover like for something like that? Are the majority of the writers all around Conan's generation?
No. Well, no. I want to say the one that's been writing there there's a couple people who've been writing there for over 20 years with Conan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any of them Lampoon Harvard people?
I don't think there's any other Lampoon people besides Conan.
There probably was at some point, right?
Yes.
Has that lost its allure? Do people not care now that there's so many shows? Like, it used to be Harvard Lampoon, and then you either go to the Tonight Show or to The Simpsons. And now it seems like there's so many things.
I don't know. I think, I read, was it Bossy Pants? Tina Fey's book, Bossy Pants?
Mm-hmm. And
she was talking about how in a writer's room, it's important to have a balance between those Harvard people. So people like Conan, people like Jim Downey, I think, was from the Lampoon. I think Al Franken was from the Lampoon, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But they're like very high concept people. They're high functioning. They can draw from history and, like, make jokes about obscure things that none of us know because they studied at Harvard, and they're brilliant. And then there's a mixture of people who were improv and comedians not that they're dumb, but their background is completely different.
Yeah.
So when you have that balance of those super like brainy comedic minds like Conan and Greg Daniels, like Conan and Greg were writing partners when they first started out. And then you have people who have more of an improv-y comedian background. It's a good balance.
Why is Conan such a good improviser? Is it because he's around those people, or does he just happen to be both?
Well, he studied improv back in the day. But
that brainy thing that you're saying that is different than the improv thing, he's both.
He is both. Yeah.
He's the best, by the way.
You know what? He is. And I was a huge fan of his before I started working for him.
Yeah.
And now having worked for him for 11 years, I honestly, some of the things he comes up with, I'm just like, how?
You're so good with him.
Well, you know, we complement each other.
Yeah.
Because he and I cannot be more different from one another. You know, he's, I don't want to say he's type A, but you know, he might be type A.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, like I say type A a lot, and now I'm not sure exactly what type A constitutes.
It's an alpha.
Huh?
Isn't it an alpha?
I thought type A was when you're very, like, not OCD, but when you're very, like, particular about things.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm not sure then. That makes sense. I was thinking...
Isn't that funny? We both have used type A. I have no idea.
I don't use type A, but I hear it.
say it
It's like I don't speak Spanish, but I understand it.
Yeah.
But I don't, apparently. And you know what? I was wrong. But go on. So he is
well, yeah,
something
he and I
maybe.
are so different from each other. He's really big on hard work, and he's worked his ass off. And I'm not going to lie, it's not that I don't work hard. It's that I don't throw myself into the work the same way he does, which is why he's hugely successful. And I'm just like, I'm just chilling.
You think if you worked harder, you would be in a different place that could be better for you?
I think well, I mean, can't that be said for everybody? If they work harder, they could be.
I work my ass off, and I haven't left this apartment in 8 years.
Oh no. Okay.
So I don't know.
Don't sell yourself short, Rick. Yes, you have. You've done a lot of really crazy, amazing
I've
things.
been living in the same one-bedroom apartment, for 8 years.
Yeah, but you could move out if you wanted to.
Yeah, if I sell my Apple stock.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you could also I used to move every 2 years just because I wanted to
Me
live
too.
somewhere else.
Until this place, same.
Why?
Well, at first, because John, Allison, and Brent all lived in this building.
Right.
And then they all moved out, and now I'm just like...
Move.
I don't want to make a lateral move. I want an upgrade. And
get
currently, I'm waiting to find out if my pilot gets picked up.
Right.
And if it does, you better believe I'll have my own washer and dryer, so I don't have to run everything in hot with vinegar and tea tree oil before I wash my fucking sheets. We'll be right back with a word from Tide.
Children have eaten the toxic packets, leading to accidental poisonings and calls for parents to keep them away from their kids.
When we were house shopping, Tack really wanted a balcony. That was his big thing.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what do you want? What's your one thing that you really want? And I was like, I want a built-in dishwasher. That's all I wanted.
Oh.
That's how low my standards are.
Yeah, not having a dishwasher is like an analogy that I can't think of in time.
Exactly. And now I have one. I feel like the Queen of England. That's all I've ever wanted.
If you just said queen, would I have pictured a different one?
There's queens. There's other queens.
Other than Freddie.
I don't know why Queen of England sounds better than just saying I feel like a queen. A queen or the queen?
Either way, I would think that feeling like a queen would be better than the Queen of England. You don't want to be this monarch that's old that people just like have in their bathrooms pictures of, you want to be the queen where it's just like Beyonce.
That's true. I feel like a queen. Then I'm going to reword that because you know what else? The Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth has a lot of restrictions on what she can wear. She always has to wear tights.
And
she can't
green.
bare her shoulders. She always has to be very prim and proper. And I could never.
Yeah.
I could never. You can give me the Hope Diamond. I won't do it.
Could we just see, because I would like you, maybe you can't, but could you give a quick little promo to camera, just, 15 seconds of, hi, I'm, Queen Sona, and check out Take Your Shoes Off, whatever it may be, as the queen, and see if it translates?
Like the Queen, you want me to do a Queen of England impression?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, I Sona Movsesian. And I'm so proud and happy to be on the Take Your Shoes Off podcast. Please subscribe. Please subscribe and like the videos and the podcasts on all the formats that they're available. Thank you very much. Do you want me to do Prince Phillip too? Because I do a Prince Phillip impression.
Okay, of course. This time, instead of also, yeah, of course, subscribe. Are you asking me? Like, no.
Well, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. You said just do a promo. Like, hi, give me some specs.
I don't know the way that you would do it on your podcast.
I don't do promos.
You do like ads and bullshit. Like,
oh, we have ad copy. You're
all right,
making me go
do one
cold.
for Marshall Rug Gallery, and if it's good enough, we'll send you a rug. And
As Prince Phillip?
yeah,
Okay.
again, that's Marshall Rug Gallery.
Marshall. Who's Marshall?
My dad's best friend and partner's father is Marshall, and they were the carpet store. And when my dad got out of the restaurant business, they opened up and partnered with a separate section that was not just carpet and tile, but area rugs.
So all flooring?
Yeah,
Hardwood?
you guessed it.
Yeah.
And not just wood, linoleum and everything in between.
Okay.
Family-owned business that's been around since.
Since when? Prince Phillip needs to know this.
I would say probably since the 50s.
Okay. You don't know how long you're...
My dad's been in it since, the mid to late 90s, but
okay.
the carpet store.
I've already forgotten all this.
I also, if people are still listening to this, just, thank you. And make sure you buy Manscaped electric trimmers.
Hello! This is Prince Phillip. I just want to tell you you should go to Marshall Rug Gallery.
That was great.
Hold on. Every time after I hunt pheasants, I go there and I buy a rug. I love it so much. Family owned since a few years.
You forgot how long it's been family owned.
Family owned. Any type of flooring you could possibly want. This is Prince Phillip. I'm married to the Queen of England, Elizabeth. Thank you.
I thought your Queen of England was better.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? It's funny you told me to do that because I call my friend Erica Brown at work almost daily as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Phillip.
Shout out to Erica, by the way.
Big shout out to my girl EB. And then I do an impression for her, and she hates him. And she can hear me down the hall yelling into my phone. And it's a huge waste of time for everyone. But.
What a cool place when people are allowed to go to work, the Conan building is.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know more than 6 names, but I know everybody there enough.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to play and talk and do bits. And when Conan comes around, nobody's starstruck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
true.
Which is weird.
Well, because he'll talk to everybody. He talks to the interns.
Yeah.
He goes around. He's got his guitar. He's checking in with everyone. And that doesn't happen on a lot of talk shows. There's some talk shows I've heard where the hosts are very removed and there's a barrier.
You showed me a letter from one of the talk show hosts that went out to all of the employees about eye contact and shit.
Yes. Yeah. Conan's not like that.
No, he needs everybody to.
He needs it. And that's why this particular time when we're in this lockdown is really hard for him because he needs people around. He needs to make people laugh. So
what are the pros and cons of that? Seeing it from somebody where clearly the pros outweigh the cons because of how objectively successful he is.
Yeah.
But do you understand the question?
I do. And what's funny is we've had a lot of really big people on our podcast who we've interviewed who all talk about how, if they're in a room with 100 people and 99 of them are laughing and one person's not laughing, they focus on that one person. It's just it drives them insane. And I'm the opposite. I focus on, not that I'm a comedian, but I notice all the other good stuff. And I think them seeing that one person drives them. And there's never a moment where they think to themselves, hey, I've done enough. I'm good. They constantly need to to do more and accomplish more. And that's why they're like highly functioning people and they're incredibly successful. And I feel like I felt content in my life and job and everything maybe 9-8 years ago. I was like, this is good. I'm good.
Right.
And that's it.
So you think that Conan's need for validation is also tied to the same character trait that allows him to keep pushing?
Yes.
Is there something to that character trait that is also making some people want to jump off of a roof? If Conan doesn't have Conan,
yeah.
You know what I mean? If Conan isn't who he is, because we can't deny the fact that, you know, whether you've been around it your entire life, and even if you are one, there's something about being around that energy that like, this is a man that everybody loves. And whether you like him on your own or you don't, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
There's a power to that, right? And not that he's Michael Jordan, because, I mean, who is?
Right.
But there's something like, you know, this is not news to me, but watching this documentary and just like seeing like, you know, LeBron, a lot of athletes have this now, but just like giving a ball boy a high five and how they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
You know, just the power these people have. If it's not that, is it still as charming? By the way, I'm a huge Conan fan,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking, not that I'm like Conan, but, you know, we would agree that we have a similar ability and skill set.
Oh, okay. All
But
right. Who's we? What? Sorry, go ahead.
What are you sorry for?
I said, who's we?
I'm saying
said
you and
we
I.
would agree.
I'm saying, don't you think?
What's about?
Do you think there's something special about me?
I do think there's something special about
So you're just being fun, or?
No, because you said you have the same skill set and talent and stuff. Is that what you said?
Would you tell me if this statement is true or false?
I think you guys are different humor-wise.
Yes,
But I think you are very talented, and I think that you are really, really fucking funny.
Thank you. And really, at the end of the day, as long as we have love, yada yada. But
no, that's not. You don't think that.
I think I do.
You think you do.
Yeah.
But you don't.
I've gone long enough in my, and I'm going to do this because it makes me feel better, career by, you know.
Don't do that.
Well, I quote career because I'm saying the past, 12 years I've been here, including the time I'm working and haven't been working. Like the whole, like, me moving out here to do stand-up and not working is still, to me, part of my career. Because it was part of the path. It was college.
Yeah, that's true. But also, you know, in the 12 years you've been here, you've done more than a lot of people who.
Yes, but including the stuff before I ever did anything. Yeah. I'm saying in that moment, in this section of time where I have been trying to do this thing. What were we talking about?
I think you were comparing yourself to Conan. You were asking if it would still be just as charming.
I remember. I have gone through enough time to where, you know, Conan, he sees 99 people laughing, but fixates on the one person who's not laughing. I have developed a skill set or a sad tool to where there's 99 people not laughing, but I'll focus on the one that is.
Oh.
So I, as much as I know I need it, I'm high functioning without it. You know what I mean?
That's good.
And so anyway, is Conan as charming if he's the same exact person without the success?
That's a good question.
And would he be able to be that person? Would he be able to have that confidence?
You know, it's hard for me to say because it's not. When I said earlier, you and Brent, I meant most comedians and just comedy writers I encounter can get exhausting pretty quickly for me. Yeah. I mean, it's just because it's part of their craft. They have to constantly think in that way in order to be funny. So I think that with Conan, if he wasn't Conan, which is really hard for me to think of, but if he was the same way, I think I would find it very exhausting. I just would. I think that's just because of how I just generally feel about.
How is that work relationship with you now where he's your boss, but you have to tell him when he's exhausting you?
Well, that's always been
yeah, it's interesting and it's awesome, and it's you guys, even though technically you're kind of partners on the podcast. Now I say kind of because it's his podcast, but you guys are you work together.
Well, I would say I'm featured on it.
Yeah. But you're there the entire time.
Yeah.
You help him shine.
That's nice.
You're so good. I was talking to Betty about it today. You don't miss.
Can I be on? I think if you think that, it's probably because I come from it with a perspective of I have nothing to lose. I don't know. Because I'm not comedically trained. I am, at my essence, I'm Conan's assistant that he just put on there.
Being around the best in the world for a decade is comedically trained.
You think so?
Yeah, it's like people who are physical trainers but not in good shape. It doesn't mean you've been lifting the weights yourself, but you know how it works, relatively speaking.
You know what? You're right. Because also when you watch Conan rehearse and he gets bits and he tweaks it a little and makes it way, way better, you start to really get an idea of like timing and editing and brevity and hitting certain things much quicker. But I also don't think I would. I can't write comedy. I know that about myself. I also know I'm not very good at improv. I've never tried it. I've never taken a class.
And I'm so proud and happy to be on the Take Your Shoes Off podcast.
Did you like my Queen impression?
Very much.
Be honest.
Yeah.
Did you like Prince Phillip?
No.
You didn't, but I feel like he's a very grumpy man who just hunts all the time. That's okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong for it.
I got to work on Phillip.
Yeah, and also what's interesting is it seemed like Queen you didn't have, and I put you on the spot for it, where Phillip, you're like, well, you think that's good, watch this.
Oh, I built it up.
Yeah, that
never works.
Yeah, it does if it has to be.
Yeah, I get it.
If you did Phillip and said, watch this to Queen, I think it would have worked.
Oh.
So you're a personal trainer, but in bad shape.
I think that's a great way to say it. Yeah, there is, and I don't think that I would be, if I was featured on another podcast, if I had to do that kind of thing, that I would not be able to. Conan brings out the best in me, if that makes sense.
Of course, that's what people. John C. Reilly, and they're different because they're great on their own. But John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, not just are they great, but the frequency that they connect on is something that they need each other for.
How good is Step Brothers?
I think it's my favorite movie.
Rick, are you being serious right now? Do you have any idea how many times I've watched? It's not even, if I'm cooking a meal, Step Brothers is on. It's one of the, I think I maybe bought 3 movies on Apple, on iTunes. One of them is Step Brothers. The other 2 are WALL-E and Frozen. WALL-E because it's the shit, and Frozen because my nieces were over and they wanted to watch it. But that's how important Step Brothers is to me.
Yeah, Step Brothers, it's silly, it's broad, it's big, and they're great at that. But the nuance and the reality of the 11-year-old boys that they're playing is literally brilliant.
Yeah.
And one of the, that should have been nominated for those performances, stripped away from the silliness of it. They locked in the entire movie to being an 11-year-old boy, and it's flawless.
When they asked if they could build those bunk beds
and more room for activities,
they're like you're adults, and then they stand there and wait until they get the yes you can do it. That was I completely understand what you're saying. Although I think I disagree with you about Academy Awards.
Well,
I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I said nominated. And the truth is, the genre doesn't allow for it, so that's a ridiculous statement by me. But if you are truly just looking at performance, and by performance, that is this actor locking into a character and making it believable.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're 11-year-olds because I'm looking at them. But I don't believe Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. And for the same thing, that's not going to be nominated for anything.
I know, isn't that sad? They're incredible movies.
They're incredible movies and great performances. There are few performances where I'm seeing somebody locked in like that. Like you see some dramatic performances where people are locked in and they're able to get to their emotional space or whatever, and they're crying the whole movie. Anyway.
Wow, you have a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
Are you upset that comedies just don't get enough love?
Comedies get tons of love. They just don't get that kind of love.
That's what I meant, as in terms of award recognition.
Yeah, because people don't look at it as art.
I don't know if that's it's harder to take it seriously. I think one of the big injustices this past year was when Adam Sandler didn't get nominated for Uncut Gems, which was he was incredible in that. And I think that's because people are like, he's Billy Madison, he's Happy Gilmore, he can't be serious, which I think that sucks to me.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable actor. He's done tons of serious, amazing roles.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Sandler.
Why?
I'm joking.
Okay. I was like, why did you feel bad for him?
Oh, Sona, I came into this thing hot with you because of setting everything up.
Yeah.
And then the coffee and the excitement, and I talked about basketball too much, and now I'm trying to get locked in better with this because I see once I get past the 60-minute mark, I could see in my guests sometimes that they're getting a little bit tired.
Are we past the 60-minute mark? I honestly think I thought it was only like 20 minutes.
Oh, good. Really?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, good.
I'm enjoying this.
Are you?
I
Me
like
too.
it because I just like talking to you too.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I still feel bad. I said I was going to jump off the roof. I didn't mean that. Do you know what I mean, though?
If you could hear me and believe me, I think I could change your completely.
Good.
Oh, okay. I know what it's like to have said something and then feel like, even if everything else is working fine, because you're projecting whatever it is you're projecting. So the only thing you could do is believe me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have your trust with this stuff.
Sure.
There isn't this much of me that is thinking about it, or when you said it made me feel anything other than, yeah, that makes sense.
That's good. Okay, that's good. Do you feel that when you're around a group of comedians and everybody is just constantly... Okay.
To my detriment sometimes, I don't recognize that.
Maybe that's a good thing because
think
you guys need to bounce off of each other to get material. That's basically what a writer's room is. It's everybody just like constantly throwing out ideas and jokes and funny things and
comedy
ideas.
is bigger than jokes to me, and it's bigger than a job. It's a language, and it's not just being in a writer's room or being with comedians. That ability to see things funny is on a larger scale, the ability to see things in different perspective, and that's just the way we communicate it. That's the way at least I communicate it.
Yeah.
So being able to make jokes would allow me to tell my mom I don't want her eating ranch anymore without her feeling I'm calling her fat.
Aww.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a very specific example. Mom, by the way, looks great.
Does she eat a lot of ranch?
There was a time where she's ordering the salads and ordering the healthy things, but slathering it in ranch. And I need her to know, listen, if this is what you want to do what you want to do. But when you're complaining about weight and or trying to eat a certain way, you need to know that this is bad. And you can't say, Mom, you look the same even though you started a diet.
Yeah.
Or can you? You can. You just have to find a way to... Here's something that I've been working a lot on the past few years. I know what I'm thinking, and right or wrong, I'm right.
Okay.
Okay? But it
Wow.
doesn't mean that...
Huh. Wow.
Well, that, jokes aside, let me explain it because it's what you mean. When I say I'm funny and you think I'm loud, I'm not wrong, but either are you.
I see.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my perspective is my truth. It exists. And I need to be able to know my opinion. I need to be able to know how to decode it in a way that I could give it to you, and then I have to know encode it, and then I have to know a way for you, how you are going to open this up. I have to not just know what I'm thinking, I have to know how you think, find the right words to tell it to you, find the right time to tell it to you, and package it in a way that's not going to hurt your feelings. Who has the time?
Yeah.
So you have to, so my hack and comedians' hacks are, well, if you make it funny, that's just one way. Another way is, you open with a compliment, you say your critique, and you close with a compliment. Another way is waiting for the right moment when they bring it up or when things are going well. Or, everyone has their own ways, but the most efficient way is when you come to my building and I'm worried as you're reaching for your shoe outside, if I don't say this now, it might be too late. You may have put your sock on the carpet and now I have to give you socks. I don't want to worry about, is Sona in a good mood? I'm just going to say, don't take your shoe off.
Huh.
And you're going to hear scolding, and I'm going to hear quick thinking.
Oh, good.
I'm not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So your mom, does she still eat ranch?
She doesn't eat it as much.
Do you think it's a regional thing?
Yes.
Because every time I go to that area of the country, I'm shocked at how much fried cheese is consumed.
Yeah.
I love it, but I also, I get why the United States can be such an obese country.
Yeah. And
Also here we're very like, oh, granola.
This is a hot take, and I think everyone will agree, but a lot of people won't agree. Is if you're fat, stop. What are you doing? Some people it's harder than others, and by fat, I don't mean like thicker.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're fat, nobody who's fat thinks they're not fat.
That's true. And this is the part that is really difficult because my weight fluctuates a lot, and I'm what you would call curvy, and it's very easy for me to gain weight. And my mom, when she says to me, maybe you don't need that bread, I get so angry because it's like, I know what my body is doing right now. I know that. I don't need you to like tell me that you see that when you see me. And it upsets me so much. But she's my mom. She's worried, and I get that. That makes sense.
That's a boundaries thing. So there is if you were to say to her, "Hey, Mom, I'm not doing a good job of keeping with this diet. Would you like check me?" Then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you say, "Mom, listen, I know that, I know what I'm doing. I don't like to be reminded. This is my choice." Then it's not. It's all relative. If I told my mom every single time, "Don't get the ranch," and she goes, "I know, I want at a certain point, I have to say, listen, this
she wants her ranch.
But people need to, you still have to say it once.
Yeah. You're very healthy.
I'm healthy.
You're good. You're good about keeping in shape.
I'm okay at it.
I saw that movie you did on Netflix, very stupid and futile.
Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Futile and Stupid Gesture. And you had that scene where you were like basically naked.
Yeah, I was naked. It was uncomfortable.
Were you uncomfortable? I've
Yeah.
been meaning to ask you about that.
I was uncomfortable because I don't want to be naked on set. And they had like an afro under my armpits and on my penis. So you couldn't see my penis, but I was naked under it, and which means behind it. And, you could see my penis from behind because of my penis. It's a big, large, hilarious, awesome, kind, thoughtful, competitive penis.
That's nice.
So anybody behind me sees my penis. And like Paul Shear's on the piano behind me, and people are like, oh, it's a guy, not a girl. But it doesn't matter. I don't want to fuck any of these people. It's not guys and girls.
Couldn't you wear one of those nude things?
I did, but it doesn't cover the back, really.
I see.
I mean, technically, I guess it's covered, but it's see-through and it's windy.
It's crazy. I always wonder, because I watched this show called Normal People on Hulu, which I loved, but there's a few full frontal nudity scenes. Noodle scenes. And I'm like, if you're an actor and you're given the opportunity to play this incredible role, which is really a really nice, very romantic, very sort of challenging role, do you turn it down because you are afraid of being nude? Like, you never would have turned that movie down because of that scene. So you just have to suck it up and do it.
Or you communicate to the director and say, here's what I'm comfortable with, here's what I'm not. Could we find some type of compromise where, you only see the side of my dick, or you see the no balls, or I know for some girls they do that. They're fine, but they want to have the nipples hidden, but they're still naked on set and the boobs are, what I'm saying, or because really, the argument of, well, you have to show it because it's art. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't have to see the penetration to know we're fucking.
If you did it, what?
I'm saying, like, when people...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We have to be nude. You have to see dick. You have to see bush. You have to see tits. You don't.
That's
if you're
true.
comfortable with it, you want... But there's there's nothing in the world other than selling the sex appeal, which is, up to the actor or actress, not up to the production.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it. I mean, you don't even need to see... There's if I were to look at you and you were to look at me, and then you were to like, I'm to grab my crotch, and you start like licking your lips, we could cut to, and now we're back, and my glasses are sideways, and you're sweating, and we know, they just had sex. We don't even need to see that, let alone if we show it, we don't have to see nipple.
That's true. That's very true.
So I'm sick of this Hollywood crap.
Yeah.
No more dicks and nipples.
I don't want to see any more dick. Well, I don't mind it.
If it's not mine.
Yeah.
I've often fantasized, though, about any old, if I had sex tapes. Like how everyone was so embarrassed if they were leaked. I feel like if it was leaked, it would be good for me.
I hate admitting this, but back in the day, when I dated a couple guys, not at the same time, but I would send them photographs. And back then, you just didn't think about what would happen if they got out there. And now a part of me is like, would I be more embarrassed that they're out there because of just just being vulnerable and exposed? Or is it because, some of the underwear I was wearing was just really gross, cheap underwear?
Well, that's why when it's exposed, we have to say the date, so people realize what the fashion was back then.
That's true.
Yeah. So lots of rants here, but I do want to make sure we get into some of the stuff that I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Which was, do you feel there's enough dicks and nipples now that everything is streaming and not so network heavy, or can we have more? So you're Conan's assistant by title.
Yes.
But you're his color person. You're his Richter off stage.
What's funny is I think a lot of people are his Richter off stage in a way. I think that he has very specific, really great relationships with a lot of people. And I'll give him credit. He has.
We'll put his Instagram handle up here.
Conan's, yeah. He does not surround himself with yes men. So he has a lot of people around him who give him their very honest, very real answer. And credit to him for just taking it and not, because so many celebrities like to surround themselves with people who constantly tell them that they're great.
Do they know that they're doing that?
What do you think? I think they do.
I think that if somebody knows that's happening, they couldn't like it.
I don't agree. I think that some people need that.
On a conscious level?
Yeah. Because you can't get to the point where everyone around you is telling you you're amazing without consciously getting rid of the voices that are telling you you're not.
The people who surround Conan, who are not yes men, are also telling him he's amazing.
They're doing both.
Right. So there you go.
But it's honest. It's way more honest when you tell someone that they're doing something that's great, when you can also tell them that's something they're not.
That's why I'm saying, who wouldn't want that?
People who are incredibly insecure.
Conan's insecure.
But Conan is also, I don't know what it is about his wiring that makes him okay with people telling him.
Because he's heard it.
He's heard it, but I also, because also he's propped up a lot of people. Like, one of the people that comes to mind is his former head writer, who is now a producer on the show, this guy Mike Sweeney, who is brutally honest with Conan all the time and will very happily tell him something didn't work or something isn't great. And his current head writer, Matt O'Brien, who will also do that. And even his producer, Jeff Ross, will also say if something's working or not working. And
if nobody told him these things, and then 15, 20 years into his career, people start telling him that, he might not like it.
Yeah.
Or because he never had it before.
But this, I think celebrities in general, and especially comedians, are incredibly insecure, and some of them just want the praise without having any of the other stuff.
You might be right. I disagree.
Okay.
I think that they, at the closest I could come to agreeing with you would be that they're getting the praise and it's real. So people that critique them are like, well, fuck them. I don't need that negativity around me. They don't know what they're talking about. I want to surround myself with positive people.
Right.
But the truth is, they're not getting all the perspectives. I don't think anybody would think, hey, these 5 people, they don't really think you're funny. They just want to have a job and are giving you what they think you need. They would be like, perfect.
Well, it doesn't mean that you're constantly telling them. You're giving them praise when they need it, and then you don't tell them when something isn't working. There's different ways to do it.
That's the problem. That's what I was talking about people not telling me about I'm playing too aggressive in basketball. And now I'm 30, in my mid-30s, or at that point 30, and think everybody loves me. I'm picked first. I'm the best. I'm funny.
And then all of a sudden one day Bill Lawrence comes up to you and is like, you can't play with us anymore.
The guys that have been in the game for 20 years don't like playing with you. You're too aggressive.
Did you say that you would apologize to those guys and tone it down? Or was it just like, this is it, you're just not playing with us anymore?
The email he sent changed my life.
Okay.
It was beautiful. It was honest. If you were to read it, you would think, oof, that's hard to read. And I loved it. And it's his game. And he said, this was in December. He said, I'm not going to.
This was this past
No,
December?
this was in December.
Oh, okay.
Not the queen, but a queen. And he said, come back in January. And incidentally, I'm having shoulder surgery at that point, or a shoulder procedure before my surgery. So I had a few months off anyway, but he only said you have to be out for a couple weeks. I just want, so people know that I talk to you, that type of thing. And he said, come on back. So he didn't kick me out. It was more of like you're on timeout type of thing, right?
Okay, that's good.
Then when I come back months later, Bill, because he, as powerful as he is, and as much as people could be yes men for him, he, for the same thing of all other comedians, wants people to like him. So when it comes back, he doesn't want me to be uncomfortable. And his intention is pure, but I don't like it. It's kind of like when people are like, how are you? It's fine. Just, do you want a coffee? It was, so we're stretching and shooting around, and Bill's on the baseline, and I'm, on the court. He makes a point to ask me this question, not when he's next to me, but so people could hear the conversation. Rick, how you doing, man? How was your shoulder procedure? I'm glad you could finally come back. As if the reason I left.
That's sweet.
And I said, the shoulder procedure was good, but I left because people didn't like playing with me, remember?
Oh, Rick, why?
Because both of these things exist. First, their opinions are valid and matter and need to be heard.
Huh.
And also, hey, fuck you.
Why?
Because why are you going and telling Bill instead of me? Why are you going and saying...
Well, because they don't have that relationship with you.
Who gives it... You could have.
No, they don't know that.
And that's their problem.
It's not their problem. It's if you're not close to someone, no one likes to talk to them bluntly about things.
And that's your problem. Watch this. You come over, you bring a friend over to podcast with me, and I don't know your friend, or I know your friend, but not like I'm friends with you, right? I know him a little bit. Erica.
Yeah.
Whomever, right?
Right.
My relationship with these people, who, by the way, were writers on Undateable. I've been playing basketball with them for 5 years at this point. I know them. We have each other's phone numbers.
Okay.
They come over, and she gets here before you. And I don't want her to walk in my house with her shoes. Hell, the podcast is called Take Your Shoes Off.
Right.
I'm not going to be worried about saying, hey, no shoes, because, I'm not friends with them.
That's not the same thing, though.
Okay.
That's a preference you have about your apartment.
This is a preference they have about basketball.
This is them criticizing you as a human being. Because when you say you're too aggressive, that's not...
They think I'm too aggressive.
They think you're too
Yes.
aggressive. That's them saying something about you as a human being.
No, it's not. And that's the problem. That's the problem with ego. That's how people hear it, and that's what people fear. But the truth is, when you say I'm being too loud, maybe you just have sensitive ears. Maybe you're tired. This is how I speak.
Or maybe you're loud.
And maybe I'm loud.
Yeah.
At the same time. So when one person says I'm too aggressive, another person may say, I love playing with Rick. He brings the most out of me.
Yeah, but their opinion about you is their opinion about who you are in a way.
And here's where to the credit of human nature, if we allow it, comes into play, which is you saying to me, Rick, you exhaust me. You're doing too many jokes. You don't dress well when you were going to work events or whatever it is. That's not about me. That's about your feelings on, Rick is representing me at work. I want him to dress a certain way or whatever it may be.
Yeah, but it's very difficult for people to express their opinions about how you affect them, even if it has nothing to do with you personally.
Well, for people that are listening that have somebody in their life that they're not close to, and there's a boundary issue where they're playing basketball and they set too hard of picks, or they're in a work environment and they don't like that the jokes they make or whatever it
their
is.
Queen Elizabeth impression.
Sure. Maybe that person is an asshole and makes inappropriate jokes, blah, 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 blah. Tell them. And if you tell them and they don't respond, you've done your job, and then take it to the next level.
Well, it's very difficult to do that. You do know that. You know it's very, very difficult for people to do that.
Yeah, and it's difficult to set up 3 cameras and to edit a podcast. It's difficult to have a...
Rick,
it's
can I
difficult
roll them enough?
It's difficult to cook food. It's difficult to have a long-term relationship.
Can I roll them enough? You're talking about interpersonal issues. That is a completely different thing.
No, this is exactly, that's an interpersonal issue. Here's somebody that I play basketball with for 5 years who doesn't like the way I set picks, then tell me about it or grow up.
Well, it's also, I understand, but you have to,
I do.
You understand to a certain degree
I
why
do.
it's so difficult for them to say it.
Just because it's difficult, life and confrontation and speaking your truth and setting boundaries is difficult. And then once you do it for a little bit, just like these people not being yes men, it becomes just the way you communicate.
Yeah, but also you're so upset about it.
Because what you're saying is the truth.
But you got so upset that when Bill said, "Oh, how's your shoulder surgery?" you brought up the fact that no one likes
that
you.
That wasn't upset. That was me. That was more so defending myself. That was me saying, "Hey, I don't want people to think that I don't know what happened."
Yeah, but isn't there a more sort of tactful way of doing that?
Yes.
Why didn't you do the more tactful way?
Because as much as I understand they're upset, fuck you guys.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Isn't there a way that you could have gone to them maybe after a game and been like, "Listen,
I didn't know who all
the
the people were. I didn't get names. I knew who one of them was. I thought who another one was.
Well, I mean, like, also, I don't know. It seems as though you could have also just addressed the entire team.
Check this out. If somebody on the street comes up to me and spits in my face, "You fucking Jew," and I punch him in the face, Rick, you didn't need to do that. But also, fuck you.
Well, I think it seems like it's a different...
That's a hyperbolic example.
It's very hyperbolic, because I agree with you that you should punch that guy in the face, or whatever you do.
But it wasn't self-defense. It was over. He was walking away.
But when there's conflicts like this, where you have to get back and work with people and play a game with them, wouldn't it just be easier for you to find a way to resolve whatever issues you have with them in a much more sort of chill way?
Well, in retrospect...
As opposed to being what you were, which is passive-aggressive.
In retrospect, let me let you know that since being back in the game, everything is great. People love playing with me. This is my opinion, and it seems people are being more communicative.
Good.
And everything's fine, and it went well. Also, there's a lot of people in the game who didn't know that happened, and afterwards came up to me, "Did people not like that?" And I go, "There's a few people in the game, because this isn't a secret, this is the truth, that didn't want me here, and I understand their perspective."
But you were angry about it.
I was angry by the way it wasn't communicated. I wasn't angry on the opinion, because when Bill told me those things, it hurt my feelings. And the truth was, some of these points I agree with, some of these points I disagree with, but the truth is, I had no idea that people felt this way. It's got to be true.
But maybe them telling Bill was their way of communicating with you.
No. I'm not playing when Rick is here.
Ooh, they said that shit.
Yeah, I don't like playing with Rick. I'm not coming, or I don't like coming when Rick is here. I don't want Rick in the game.
Uh-huh.
The problem isn't me in the game.
Those were the exact words?
Yeah, those are the exact words from him.
Wow.
The problem isn't me in the game. The problem is you don't like the way I'm playing this game.
Yeah.
But the truth is, and it doesn't matter, and how great is Rick at basketball? I'm great.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah, you've mentioned that.
And also, I'm probably
I'm
not
national speech champion.
I did 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm not as great as I think I am probably, but I was really, really good. And you're not.
Okay.
You're not.
How is that relevant?
It's relevant because
you saying there's an element of jealousy in there.
No, not at all. It's what you want out of the game. They want laughs,
fun times,
time away from their kids,
right?
Connection. All of those things exist, and I want them too. I want to win, to be the best, to not sit out a game because I lost. They're not wrong. I'm not wrong, but we don't see eye to eye. So, listen, as much as you don't like playing with me because I'm aggressive and yelling and saying, go to the fucking hoop, I don't like you on my team because I know when there's a 2-on-1 fast break, you're going to wait to hit a 3 and you're not even a 3-point shooter. I'm not going to go to Bill and say, I don't like playing with so-and-so because he shoots too many threes. I just won't pass him the ball then.
But why is it so important for you to win?
Now, that's a fair point, and that's something I had to check on myself, and that's where it has changed.
Yeah, because it is, there's nothing at stake from what I understand, right? There's no money, there's no trophy.
Yeah, if you lose, you sit, and if you sit, you don't get to play, and I hate sitting.
Okay. Wait, what do you mean? If you lose, like the whole team sits?
So there's 15 people that play.
Yeah.
5 on each team. Us versus them. If we win, that 5 comes off, and the new 5 comes on. If we lose, we're the ones that go down.
But this is in one night.
Yeah, you play 8 games, and whenever you lose, you have to sit a game. I hate sitting. I hate losing. So I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you play to win.
Right, but if people are coming for reasons like escapism,
and that was my fault for not. That was partially my fault for not being aware of it, and their fault for not communicating it to me.
I get that.
Since then, I have, and like I said, that was the inciting incident to a lot of new awareness. I started to see other people's perspectives. So when they say, I want to jump off a roof, I say, okay, they're not wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person.
Yeah, I get that. No, that makes sense. I do get you wanting better communication. I think my thing was, I get why they were probably nervous to talk to you.
And that's why I get angry, because the world has been conditioned to just not say their truth because they're afraid of confrontation, when the truth is confrontation is what makes you closer, is what makes you smarter, what gives you perspective. You're a debate champion.
Yeah.
What if the other person said, oh, okay. Don't get your fucking feelings hurt. Just stand up for yourself.
Yeah, but it's a very difficult thing. How many times have people been in relationships that they have had to stay in because they don't want to deal with that awkward conversation of breaking up?
That's the point I'm making. Now you're in something unhealthy that either could be resolved or you could move on in an efficient time because you're scared of what?
It's human nature to feel uncomfortable.
It's human conditioning.
I don't think it's conditioning.
My family doesn't do that. We've been conditioned to speak our truth.
Do you always speak your truth, you think?
I'm a human being and I'm not perfect, but yes.
I think it takes a lot of training, and if you have, I recently had a falling out with a friend of mine a year ago, and it took a lot in me to go up to her and apologize. And when I apologized to her, she's like, thanks, but it's been 3 months since we've had this conflict. She completely dismissed how difficult it is. And also, to be honest, the way she acted after we had this argument, I didn't even want to apologize. And I'm hard pressed anytime there's a conflict to say that one person is 100% at fault about something.
Correct.
And I think a lot of people like to play the victim, and a lot of people don't like to take responsibility for their part in any sort of conflict. But I figured, if I have to interact with this person, I should just have this conversation. And then after that happened, it almost made it worse. Like when I had that confrontation with, or that apology, sort of like terrible kind of acceptance of whatever it was. It almost made it worse. But I am glad I did it.
My therapist said something to me that I'm sure is a saying, but I heard it from her, which is all we could do is keep our side of the street clean.
That's great.
And it doesn't mean that the road's not going to have a mess on it, but your responsibility is to know your truth, communicate it efficiently and kindly, and at the end of the day, if she's upset, yes, that sucks, and yes, oh well.
Yeah.
You can't control other people.
You're right. No, you're totally right. I never looked at it that way, but that's my thing too, is after it was done, I was like, I apologized. I feel better.
Yeah.
This isn't ever going to get resolved, as in we're not going to probably be friends again, but I'm happy with what I've done on my end, and it made me feel better about it.
That's why the great Jesus Christ talks about forgiveness. It's not just to let them pass. It's because you are releasing yourself from the control of worrying about what could I do. You can only do one thing. That's just know the truth.
Yeah.
And give it. And not everything is black and white, but if you're you're sorry, maybe you made a mistake. What could you do about it other than acknowledge it? So when people are afraid to acknowledge it, I have no empathy for that.
I have empathy. That's the difference between us.
You know what? That's fair. You know what? I'm overcompensating, and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I empathize with the challenge of it. It's not an excuse to me.
I get that it's not an excuse. I get it. I think that I'm a lot more, not more, but like that's the wrong thing. I think that if someone acts in a certain way, I have just resigned to the fact that it has to do with them, and I don't get angry at it about them. So if you
but what if that gets in the way of your job? What if these people who are, projecting their things onto you and don't like it, and then end up going? This is not the basketball thing. This is a different example, but within the same tools, or the same analogy. These people have these things, and you know what? If Ryan doesn't like me, if Becca doesn't like me, so be it. But what if Ryan or Becca, or either your boss, or have influence on your job, and it starts to get in the way of your life?
I can't think of an example where that, like, it's hard for me to think about that if I haven't.
Well, there's what I'm talking about. There's where, by people having this opinion of me and going to Bill instead of me, if they went to me and I kept doing it, then figure it out. But by going to Bill, it's you're a coward, you're afraid of confrontation, you don't acknowledge the fact that there are two sides to this, and I'm not calling him the N-word. I'm just fucking driving to the hole and not worried if you're in my way.
I think it's the same as if someone has a conflict in a building and they go straight to the landlord instead of trying to talk it out with the neighbor. It's the same kind of concept, I think. I don't know. Some people just approach conflict in different ways.
Yeah, but what if that neighbor of yours is someone that you've worked with for 3 years and you see every week? It's not some...
Did this bother you because you were worried about Bill's perception of you?
No.
You were just upset they didn't come to you first. So it has nothing to do with...
No. The big thing is it changed my life for the better. I loved it. This isn't me being upset at the guys. This thing that you're feeling for me that does exist is passion on the flaw in what you call human nature and I'll call human conditioning. It's just a microcosm of all these other examples in my life where getting kicked out of school and going to these special classes and special schools and diagnosed as this and not having friends and all of these things, which is my responsibility, that would have been completely different if people just told me how they felt, because unfortunately my intuition of people's feelings is not as strong as other people's. If instead of people keeping it to themselves or telling other people who then find their way, you know what, we're going to actually, I pitched a cartoon with John and Allison the other day, and somebody passed on it because of we loved it. You guys are hilarious. We want to do something with you. But the subject matter is a little, I thought maybe, but I didn't believe that was the reason. You just have to give me a reason that you passed on it.
Yeah.
Nobody is fucking honest. And because of that, how do we grow? How do these people who surround themselves with yes men grow?
Well, I don't think those people do. And I don't think they want to. You're talking about people growing. You have to want to grow.
Well, let me tell you this. As a 10-year-old boy, I don't know if I want to grow or I don't. Maybe I did. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I do know objectively that 10-year-old boy and everyone else, we should always and all be growing. I could disagree with you, but let me have the choice of having new information to choose from.
Well, should be is different than wanting to.
And that's the passion, and this isn't me mad at this guy for tattling on Bill. This is me upset that the world doesn't confront things because of this made-up idea that, oh no, so-and-so's not going to like me.
But that's a lot of things. I mean, that's also...
I had a food delivery is here. I have to buzz them in.
Okay.
But,
all right, I'll just...
Be right there, sorry.
I'll just sit here. I'm going to check my phone.
I'm peeing. Sona, I didn't realize until I got up
Yeah.
how much coffee I had, and then when I put the cup down, I realized I had this big pot of coffee brewed, so I put it in this cup just to keep in the fridge. It's 3 cups of coffee. I sip a small cup, and I usually don't finish it. So I'm fucking hopped up on coffee.
Oh
I didn't even realize it.
I can't drink coffee because of that reason. Because I get very twitchy and wired. I forgot. You know what? I should have my phone on me because I am on the clock. And when Conan calls and I don't pick it up,
Could you call him back
after
on
all
the air?
these years, I still get a sense of dread. Like, fuck, I missed this.
What do you
phone
mean you're
call.
on the clock? Why are you on the clock?
I'm always on the clock.
Oh, I guess it's work right now.
It's work right now. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. So.
Do you want to make a call? Do you have to get going?
No, you want me to. Do you want me to call Conan right now?
Oh, yes, but that was
no.
unrelated. I meant off the air.
No, I don't have to.
Will you call him and have him say hi to me?
No.
Will you call him and have him say hi to me?
No, I won't. You know what's good about you
Tell
is
me.
you aren't afraid to ask. Do you know how many times do people know that when you come into our office to visit and Conan is there, you almost always ask him for this Simpsons
I really want it.
artwork
Yeah.
that is signed by everybody who does a voice on The Simpsons?
And you do the audience doesn't know that, but I'll tell you something else.
I don't know why I would think that they would.
But let me tell you this. Not only did Conan say I could have it,
Yeah.
he meant it. And
No, he didn't.
He didn't mean it.
No, he didn't mean it.
See, I know that's your take.
I know.
Why wouldn't he
didn't
say
mean it.
no then?
Why wouldn't he say no?
Yeah.
Because he's being nice to you, and that's why he has me, so I can say to you,
Okay.
no, you can't have that.
I understood your position, but also resented it.
I know you did. Here's the
But
thing.
you're not wrong. I know you're not wrong.
Yeah, of course I'm not.
I don't deserve that.
Nah, not at all.
But I
know you want it.
And I would put it in a great.
I know you would. It's already in a really nice frame. But Conan did he wrote Marge versus the Monorail, which is one of the more well-known episodes of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then the Hollywood Bowl had a whole
Take my
weekend.
penknife, my good man.
Yeah, had a whole weekend where they had it was
So cool.
devoted to The Simpsons. And Conan went and performed the Monorail song, and then they gave him this poster that was
Yeah.
signed by everybody who participated, which was, I want to say, most of the people who do voices on The Simpsons. And we have it framed, and
Also, you have it framed with 500. I mean, this is not like a
Yeah.
piece. I mean, the wall is literally littered
Yeah.
with amazing artwork and fan gifts and fanfare, some of which he gives away. This wasn't like the
Yeah.
trophy on his desk.
it wasn't. But you did come in and you're like, can I have that? And
Conan offered me something first.
What did he offer you?
Who knows? Some tchotchke. Oh, a bobblehead.
Okay.
And I said, thank you, but could I have that?
Yeah. The ball's on you. The ball's on you. But it was, I mean, I obviously would never let you take that.
Conan is, to my credit, no.
Yeah.
But Conan is one of the...
To my credit.
Conan is royalty in a world where there are a lot of legends.
Yeah, and I think he got in at the right time. I mean, how hard now to
Yeah.
have a reach?
Well, because it takes time. Maybe there are, I'm sure Seth Rogen or whomever in 10 years, that'll not that, but there will be different versions. Sandler has something like that.
But they all started really early.
But they're all, relatively speaking, because they're all in their 50s now.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying Conan got in at the right time, and the same for Sandler and Seth Rogen and all those guys. But now, because of just the way we consume comedy and we get comedy,
right.
I don't think anybody will ever have that kind of reach.
I don't know, man. I hear. I don't know. I mean, Will Ferrell already has it.
Will Ferrell had it.
Well, he has it.
What I'm saying is they established this fan base way back when they were able to. And now if a new comedian, let's say, comes out on the scene, it's really, really hard to reach
yeah, that's fair.
To get a reach that big.
I think that'll be the next version of that. Like what Bob Newhart had was different, and Johnny Carson was different than what Conan had, but there was a reincarnation of legend. And Conan is that generation's version of legend.
Yeah.
But even within those legends, what I'm saying is Conan is one of the he's a king.
Right. And everybody else you mentioned is also in their own way a king.
Conan, for me, growing up, there was something that, even if I was more of a fan of Sandler and watched it, Conan had something that was, I'm not speaking alone. I'm just a huge, there's no way of saying this more literally. I am a huge fan of his, more so than other people.
Yeah.
And meeting him, where for better or worse, I could, I'm very familiar with people, and some people don't like it, and some people do. I was able to be friends with him because that's my personality, and the fact that he let me
Yeah.
and played with me.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was teaching a 2-day comedy class.
Oh, it was. I get.
You're teaching it?
Taking.
Wow!
Okay.
And how to drive onto Warner Brothers on a show where I have no lines and I feel unimportant, and that's my own issue, but blah, blah, blah. And then as I'm pulling up, Conan is walking and sees me and yells to me. And Rick, and I'm now talking and doing bits. That's like LeBron giving somebody a pat on the head. I don't know if I'm giving credit to Conan right now or bragging that there's a friendly relationship between us.
No, I think you're.
But
yeah, I think it's. I'll say my favorite moments on the podcast are when comedians like John Mulaney and Nick Kroll and Nikki Glazer will talk to Conan and tell him how he's their inspiration for getting into comedy. Those to me are the best moments, just because it makes me proud that I get to work for someone who influenced a generation of comedians that I love and look up to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, just by association, it's just like, it makes me feel good.
how do you feel when you're in the room with Jeff Goldblum and Matt and Conan, and they're doing their thing, which is, a masterpiece?
Yeah.
And then you're watching in the audience, I have to assume.
Right.
But you're also there, and you're, you don't miss. You're not chiming in a lot, which I think is a good thing. No disrespect. I mean that
No.
respectfully. It's
Yes.
not. It's not.
I don't want to.
But you do not miss. And also, Conan, not only does it add to the conversation, he knows you and trusts you. So his going back to you and his laughing at you is so sincere that you can't not want you to be there. What does that feel like for you? Do you feel part of it? Do you feel that you're chiming in?
No. I don't know how to say it.
Are you worried about the way you word it?
No. If people are responding to me in a positive way, I can only assume it's because they relate to me in the sense where I'm coming at it from a place where I feel like I don't belong there. And I'm lucky to be there. And I'm like this person who's like giddy to just be in the room. And then when Conan says something to me and asks me to respond, I really do genuinely just respond without thinking, just like a normal way I would normally respond. I don't know. I think I lost track of the question.
It was you are both in the audience with a king and also part of the product itself.
Yeah.
And how does that feel to know that you're there? Does it feel that you're watching something and you add in from behind the scenes, or do you feel, because you went from being his assistant and then you had little things, I don't mean little, but
no, you're
but
right,
there were
little
moments
things.
like you go on a week tour with this and you're part of things and social media things, but now here's this product, this podcast that your name is on, you are part of. It's more his, but it's both of your thing. So you're not just there to tell Conan it's the phone for him, and I don't mean that as derogatory as it sounds.
I get it. I totally get that.
But that's why I was saying the Richter thing, because you're literally a sidekick in some way.
Yeah.
So do you feel even your social media following has gone up since then?
It has. I just don't think about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I try, when I first found, Conan asked me to be on the podcast. He said, I think it'll be just fun, if you're on it and we could just sort of see how it works. And I was telling my husband about it, and it was almost like a throwaway thing. I was telling Tack, I was like, yeah, Conan asked me to be on the podcast. And he's like, that's amazing. Aren't you excited about that?
Like from an opportunity standpoint.
From an opportunity standpoint. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, why aren't you more excited about it? And I think it's because, I love my job, and my job is enough. And so when this podcast came into it, it was just sort of like, oh, that's a nice thing I get to try. That'll be fun. And I think that by not putting pressure on myself it's keeping me sane. And so if Conan asks me to chime in about something, I can't think about it, and I can't think about if it worked or not. Because if I do, I'll obsess about it.
Yeah, that's just being present.
It's just being present. It's just
avoiding expectation.
It's avoiding expectation. It's lowering the expectations for myself. It's knowing that.
Well, you can't avoid them and lower them. If they're there, you lower them. If you avoid them, they don't exist.
You're right. You're totally right.
Look to camera and say that.
What?
That I'm right.
You're right, Rick.
What? Who gives a shit? Keep going.
So I wish I had an answer for you, but I can't think about it.
Well, do me a favor.
That's my thing. That's my answer. I cannot think about it.
Well, for this question I'm going to ask you, think about it now for a second. How do you feel now that you've gone from behind the scenes to in front of the microphone? The sense of being out there and people seeing it for either liking it or disliking it, but you are now the entertainer, not just supporting.
I think the smartest thing I do, and this is me listening to Conan's advice, I will never read the comments people have about me. If, I don't think that maybe I read them in the beginning, the comments about the podcast, but I don't read them anymore. So I'm living in this blissful state where I'm thinking, as long as they keep me on the podcast, that means I'm doing something right. And I can't think about what it is that I'm doing right. I'm just going to have to keep just doing what I normally just do. And then if they ask me not to be on it anymore, that means something wasn't working. But in terms of a lot more people sort of knowing who I am, I feel like I have exactly the right amount of, I don't want to say fame, but recognizing that I want. I don't want anything more than that. I like it when I walk down and somebody will look at me and just be like, she looks familiar. She's either someone's cousin or she's been in a YouTube video that I've watched. That's what I like. I like when they're not sure who I am.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And so, cause I don't want to be famous.
Yeah.
I never wanted that. Have you ever seen The King of Comedy?
Yes, and I don't remember it, and it came up on a podcast, I think with Joel McHale. Somebody mentioned it, that I said I was going to watch it again, and I haven't.
I just watched it for the first time yesterday. It is horrifying. I mean, that's like the idea of someone desperately wanting to be famous but not really wanting to put the work into it.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, it's I don't care about being famous. I also just don't care about putting the work into anything. And then just having a really good time. And if something good comes out of it, then that's cool.
I have a weird, I have a weird trigger.
Stoner way of looking at it.
I mean, if you're making a living, then, it sounds blissful.
It's great. It's great. It is. It's, if everything went away, I think I would be equally as happy as I am now.
No way.
Yes.
If everything went away.
No, as in if I just had my job as an assistant.
Oh, you're saying the podcast went away, you'd be okay.
And the podcast went away. I'm also a voice on a cartoon. I play a character named Princess Sugar Salt on a children's cartoon called Power Players.
Let me hear the voice of that.
This is the voice for that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm being very serious. It's she has a thing where she'll go she'll be really sweet and then she'll just get really angry in the span of a sentence.
Did that come after the podcast?
That actually is completely unrelated. My friend Steve is one of the co-creators
and just asked you to do it?
Or one of the writers. And he just asked me to do it because it's a non-union cartoon. And so they needed non-union people. And he's known me for years. And he's like, this could be a character you could do. And so I do it. But if the cartoon went away, if the podcast went away and I just had my normal job, I would be equally as happy. I can't put too much value on these things because everything is fleeting.
Amen.
Right?
Or woman.
Who knows?
Are you money from the podcast? How does that compare to your other job?
I mean, it's not the same.
Is it it's a real gig, right? Like, could somebody do that and that be their job? Do you have 2 jobs now?
I do have 2 jobs. Yeah, it's a nice supplemental income, but it's not like I could. My bread and butter is my assistant job.
Do you think that will grow as the podcast does?
My assistant gig?
No,
My salary?
Do you think
it
that
has?
The podcast, I'm saying, do you think the podcast has potential to become a bigger earner for you?
I think there's a cap.
It's
I don't know how
already
the business
at a
stuff
level.
works. I don't know how the business. I don't know anything about the business aspect.
Well, you
but
started your
between
own
the
show.
I didn't start it. Oh,
What?
you mean Sona Fixes Your Life?
I mean, what does that say?
Congrats, Callie, 2020.
Awesome. Well, shout out to Callie. We will put
Yeah.
her Instagram handle up here.
CALI.
So yeah, I haven't heard or watched the show, but it's you telling people like
It's called Sona Fixes Your Life. It's an Instagram series. We have a whole digital team that works with them, and they were like, this might be something fun for you to do, and so they facilitate everything. They get all the questions. They produce it all, and it literally takes me 5 minutes to shoot it. They do very little editing, and they just put it up there. There right now, no joke. Right now, there's some sort of drive-by congratulatory party happening. I don't know what. I think Callie graduated.
Yeah. Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares, Rick?
I posted this on my Instagram recently. Graduating high school is an accomplishment of making it 18 years. It isn't a feat that you conquered.
Well, a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, take showers or brush their teeth before they go to bed. But do it. Hey, stop eating ranch so much.
Yeah.
Go graduate high school and brush your teeth.
Can I say something that's a little hippy dippy? Do you think that you're talking from a place of privilege? Because you're talking about it like, what's the big deal? When there's so many kids who come from like extreme poverty,
Yes.
who don't have
Those people
two
don't
parents.
have those people don't have 4 cars with congratulations Callie driving down the road. Accomplishments are different for everything's different.
It's relative.
Yes, and sometimes drinking water could be an obstacle for people. So I understand that it's easier for me to get water delivered to my place in my water cooler.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I'm saying a global statement that isn't fair for everyone.
Right.
But for the people that are in my bubble that I'm watching on social media and the people that are, like for me, when people were congratulations, even then as a 17-year-old, I was thinking to myself like, I didn't do anything. I literally, from my privileged situation, had to because I had the people who forced me.
Yeah.
I had to go to school. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to do the work, but I had to. A lot of the times I didn't do the work, but I passed anyway. This isn't...
Well, what's funny is I was thinking that when my little niece graduated kindergarten last year, and they did the whole cap and gown for her, and they did a whole like ceremony. And the time I was watching it, I was like, it's just kindergarten. But first of all, it was really cute for us.
Sure.
And I think it was more for parents. But also, in a way, you're telling these kids, look at this milestone.
Yeah.
There are going to be other milestones. People are going to celebrate each milestone. And then it kind of encourages them to go towards it. So maybe making a big deal out of high school is a way of saying, this is just a taste of what you'll get when you graduate college, which is a big deal and it's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's a big feat.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is.
That's fair. I think there's something very beautiful about acknowledging milestones. And I also think it's fitting that you use the word milestone instead of accomplishment. Because congratulations and celebrating your sweet 16 or you're a teenager now or your bar mitzvah, these are all beautiful things that can and should be acknowledged. But this is, this good for you thing for just doing what you're supposed to do. It's a double-edged sword because, well, hey, listen, I graduated high school. That's not enough. Do something. Well, I went to college. Listen, if you're the first person in your blah, blah, blah who went to college and or you had to pay for your own college and the accomplishment of graduating college, a lot of times it's more impressive that they put themselves through college than they went to the fucking classes sometimes.
Yeah.
Do something.
Did you have a bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
What was the theme?
Basketball. My signing board was made at Walmart. It was an airbrush. Do you remember in the 90s people were airbrushing shirts and hats and stuff? It was an airbrush thing where it's me holding on to the rim while it's on fire and it's breaking.
Do you still have
Yeah.
Wait, that was the sign-in thing?
It was a sign, the big board.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, it's in my basement. I thought
I
if
love it.
I ever have a nice home, how fun that would be if I make that the focal point of the office.
Cool. Can you show me a picture? Can you post it? Have you ever posted it?
I'll ask my mom to send me a picture.
You have
I'll put it up
to.
here.
Oh, I need to see that.
And I also have video of all the people at the party, and I never kissed a girl until I was 17. So at 13, I don't know if I'm ever going to kiss a girl. And I had crushes, man. I mean, like fantasized about guys pushing these girls into lockers so I could beat them up type of fantasies.
Oh, no.
I didn't even fantasize about fucking the girls. I fantasized about saving them, which means I also fantasized about them getting hurt. you know, like
shit.
It was the most selfish fantasy. Like the only way I could
Being a hero.
The only way I could offer them value is me being a hero, and the only way I could be a hero is if they're in distress. Like I wanted them to be fearful so I could come in, beat up the guy, and then bye. You know what I mean?
Rick.
But I had a big shout out to Jamie Steinberger, because in 8th grade that was a girl I had the big crush on. They've changed, and I still I have video of me, this camera guy walking around and talking. Hey, congratulations! The service was great. I know who came to the service and who didn't. I'm looking. I know you didn't come. You know, it's like people saying good show, but I know they were in the back. I don't need to know it's a good show, but don't lie to me, you bitch. But so they're just going on, and I now, when I see the camera guy going over to Jamie and Annie and Cassidy and all those girls.
Oh, they came.
Oh, they came. It's bar mitzvahs. You come.
Yeah,
they
but
didn't come for me. They came for the Limbo and the other boys.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
Maybe
you don't
not.
come just because of that stuff.
Well, we got to get
If you
Jamie
don't
on the pod.
You do have to get Jamie on the pod. Where is she now? Cleveland still?
Who knows? They're all in Cleveland or Arizona or
What do you
Chicago.
mean, who knows? You know exactly where she is.
Come 9th grade, I'm done with Jamie.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm on to the next.
Yeah.
But no, I think Jamie was 7th and 8th and maybe 9th. No, 9th, I had to leave school. I went to PEP, and then it wasn't about girls anymore. It was me being embarrassed that I had to go to a special school for troubled kids.
Oh.
It's okay. I got my ear pierced and I got into basketball, so I was glad with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but I when
all roads lead back to basketball for you.
if it weren't for basketball, yeah. Basketball gave me friends, confidence, gave me work ethic. So, I mean, it really was.
That's good that you found that.
But I want to tell you the story of the camera guy going around, and I clocked when they got over to where Jamie and the girls were. And when they were, I walked by, so they would have to acknowledge me. So when they acknowledged me, oh, I'm now part of it. And I wanted to make sure that the camera guy spent extra time on them.
Aww.
So I said, because the camera guy, there was like a microphone that you could just talk to it, or you could hold on to it. It was a little thing that was and I took it off, and I'm like, I don't know if you got, and they're like, yeah, we already, like they already talked.
Oh.
I'm like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, cool. And then I went over to another group as if I didn't
like a reporter?
As if I were doing this to more than just Jamie.
Oh.
I can't just ask if Jamie talked, because then Jamie knows I like her, and if Jamie knows I like her, she might like me back, and then what do? Dude, bar mitzvah days, I used to, the beginning of bar mitzvah, so 7th grade, when girls would ask me to dance, I would be so nervous that they were just doing that as a favor to me, and that they don't really like me and I don't know what I'm doing, that I would always say no. I would say my mom's picking me up. I would go outside for minutes, and even though nobody was outside with me, in case somebody was spying, I would look around and I would say under my breath, I guess my mom's not coming now.
Oh,
and
nobody was there.
Nobody was there.
You were saying that to yourself to
2-3 times.
feed into this like thing that you created.
It's
amazing.
I used to also do that when I would drive to school. There's this circle, and you'd have to go around the circle, but my thing was right here. So instead of going around the circle, I would want to go through the bank. It's 7:30, 8:30 in the morning. But it's illegal to cut through the bank. So I would go through the bank and nobody would see me. I'd go through the bank. I'd like idle, maybe step on the brake for a second and look. Oh, it's not open. Fuck it. And then I would go through. In case I got pulled over, I could say to them, I thought it was open, and they would have seen, oh, he mouthed it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Did you have a journal or a diary? That's a shame. It would have been really nice to read the musings of a young Rick Glassman.
Did you journal?
Yeah.
We should. That would be a great thing if you sold it as merch.
Ugh, it is horrifying stuff.
Could you confess something?
I mean, it's a lot of like, of course you don't have a boyfriend. You're such a loser. Like it's a lot
you bullying
of.
yourself.
I was really mad at myself. And the thing is, when I think back on that time, I liked me. I'm very. I don't know if it's a credit to my parents, but I never really like hated myself. I never had like low self-esteem or low confidence. I always felt good about who I was. But there were things that happened and things that I did that I would play over and over again in my mind. And I'm really sad because that's all I wrote about in my diaries is those moments where and that's what a diary is for, to just get it all out there. But I found them recently when we moved. I found this whole box of them and I read like one page and I just closed it and I was like, I can't do this.
That's a great idea for a podcast. Because there have been some where people open up something and read about their thing for, a season or whatever. But guests come on and they bring their diary from when they were a kid.
Oh, that's called it's Mortified.
Oh, that's a thing.
It exists.
Mortified.
Mortified is the my friend they have live shows too, where people have found old things that they did when they were kids, like drawings or
great.
diary entries. And I have a friend, my friend Brad, he used to make these videos when he was a kid, and he grew up in Cleveland too, and he was like this like overweight kid, and he was super cute and really sweet, but he would make these very dramatic movies where you could tell that he was just being super like dramatic, and they're hysterical looking back on it. But back then he was like, I'm gonna make this super serious movie and it's gonna make me a star. And he kept them all. And we were in like this venue where like hundreds of people are watching, and he played these videos and talked about it with everybody. And it was a whole series of like, someone would come up and they're like, this is a diary I had from when I was 14 and my parents were getting a divorce. And they would read entries from it. And it's always hysterical. 'Cause like when you're an adult reading the things that you did and said as a child, no matter how dramatic and how serious you thought it was when back then, it's always fucking
unless
hysterical.
it's about like post-sexual abuse and it's like details of that.
Yeah,
Which, not that there's anything wrong with sexual abuse. I'm just saying that.
Fuck.
So this show idea already exists?
I'm sorry, it does.
Is it random people coming on stage and doing it, or is it? Because what about like today's guest is Sona, and Sona brings her diary, and you spend the hour talking about that?
I think that's different. I think that's a different concept. This is like, here's this person, they found this, they're going to read a couple entries and maybe discuss it, and maybe not even discuss it, just like say the entries. I can't really remember if they talked. I think they set it up, but they didn't delve into it. So yeah, maybe if you have a person who comes and like talks about an entry or their stuff or like a period of time in their diary.
I wonder how many people had diaries as a kid. Is that a common thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Did boys do it?
I don't know.
Why? I wonder why girls would do it, not boys. Is it a thing because girls knew of diaries?
Girls are more in touch with their emotions at that age. They're more sensitive, and they're. I think that I mean, at least in terms of what I experience, boys are a lot less likely to address things then. Girls are very outward. They're like, oh, I love this guy. I'm gonna write his name on my notebook.
Keeper.
Yeah, Trapper Keeper. But like, you didn't do that with Jamie. You didn't write Mr. and Mrs.
No, but when I had
Rick and Jamie Glassman all over your notebook.
When I had pneumonia in 3rd or 4th grade and I had to be out of school for a week, the class sent me a card, and shout out to Annie Wolfington. And I don't know, do I bleep these names? They're all married probably now.
No, let them hear it.
I mean, out of all my crushes, I don't think there was anything bigger than Annie Wolfington in 3rd grade and 4th grade. And there was a card, and everyone wrote "Get Better" or blah blah blah. Annie wrote, I don't remember if it was "We miss you" or "I miss you," but either way, it was just like a nice thing to say. It wasn't her liking me. She was dating, I think, Zach Cutler at the time. I'm telling you, these sluts were...
In 3rd grade?
Zach...
More power to her.
Zach, Chad, Annie, and Brooke. The 4 of them.
Nice.
I don't know what they were doing, but Annie and Brooke, come on, man. Brooke had tits since she was 2.
Oh!
And I mean that in the most derogatory way. And Chad Kahn and Zach Cutler, they started in 3rd grade, and they were the cool guys, man.
Who had tits at 3rd grade? Who did you say?
I don't really know.
Because Brooke, I'll tell you, she probably hated it. Because I developed in 4th grade, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Like I started going through that whole process very early on, and this fucking bitch, I'm not going to say her name because she and I are Facebook friends. This bitch is on the swings during recess. At the very height of the arc, this bitch yells at me when she's on the top, like amplified, Sona, you need a bra. And I have never been, it's singed in my memory. That fucking cunt yelled at me from the top of the swing, that fucking bitch. And I just remember, like, I replayed in my head, and in my head, I always say something really cool back to her, but I know I didn't.
What would you want to say?
I would have probably said, yeah, well, you need a brain.
Yeah, that
Isn't
would.
dumb?
Yeah. No.
Like back
like
then,
that.
that was the retort I had come up with. But I didn't say that. I just remember I was like, oh.
How old are you?
4th grade, so I was
4th grade.
11.
10.
Oh, 10. Yeah.
She probably didn't have boobs, right?
No, she's
You coulda
flat-chested bitch.
Yeah, well, you need some fucking tits, you rag.
Yeah, it's time for you to get your tits. Where are your tits? What a dumb fucking bitch.
Ooh, I like that. See,
But-
this stuff.
Hey, there's a better way of handling it. You know, you didn't have to say why be so passive aggressive.
No, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck her.
1, maybe you needed a bra, and 2,
Yeah.
fuck you. It all exists.
I know I did. I didn't need people telling me I did. It was horrifying. Like it is a horrifying transition. So maybe before you shit on Brooke, maybe you should think about
Shit on Brooke.
Yeah.
She was hot.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it in a very like
the-
horror had tits
No.
when she
When
was
I
3.
said slut, I was talking about the guys and the girls.
Ah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying to be dating in 3rd grade. I
Yeah.
was joking. I mean,
Were they were like
Yeah,
full blown couples?
I mean, they were holding hands, and their parents drove them to
Wow.
places to walk around.
Stop.
Yeah.
In 3rd grade.
Yeah, 3rd grade.
That's amazing.
93. It wasn't 9 more years before I had a kiss. These guys were fucking in Mrs. Pate's class. And let me tell you something, even though that they were dating, the point I was making is I was in bed, not just for the week I was sick, for years. I had that card saved, and I would pull it out and look at it and wonder what she meant by miss you.
Oh.
Man, did I have it for Annie.
That's sweet though.
I think on Facebook, years later, I mean, I'm in California at this point, after college, and I think we're Facebook friends or something, and I think I made a post about something, and I said, blah, 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 since having a crush on Annie Wolfenden. I think I said that. And I think she made a comment saying, too bad you didn't tell me then, which didn't mean it was just, nice.
Well, yeah, because also that burning desire you had for her, you don't know if someone else had that for you.
That's what I'm saying. I was too scared. I wouldn't let.
Somebody may have. You never know. That's the thing. And isn't it nice? Like when I think about how much I loved, I had crushes on people when I was younger. I remember there were times when I was like, I will die for this person. It's just when you're younger, you're so much more intense. And the older you get, you look back on it and you're like, what a beautiful feeling. You know what? You've seen Adaptation. It's one of my favorite movies. Oh, I love Adaptation. But one of them, he's talking about this crush he had on someone. And he's talking about how he was like hopelessly in love with this like person in like high school or something. And she didn't like reciprocate, or he never told her or something. And another character's like, well, don't you wish you had said something, or are you? I can't remember now that I think about it. If he did and it didn't go, whatever. But he goes, that was my feeling for her. That was mine. Like the fact that she made me feel that way, in and of itself, is enough for me. And all these women you're talking about who you had these crushes on, who you're like hopelessly in love with, and like the crushes that I think of, it never worked out the way you wanted to.
Shouldn't have.
And it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I love that I had that feeling.
Yeah.
Now looking back on it, when my crush asked me for a pencil, I remember in high school, and I froze and I couldn't say anything. And then I remember I was like, I have one in my Keroppi pencil box. And I went and I gave it to him, and he's like, I'll give it back. I was like, you can keep it. And I remember that moment. I remember how I responded. I remember what he did. I remember how he looked. I remember everything about it so vividly. And I love that I had that. I love that I had that he made me feel that. And it's, you know, if maybe we went out, it probably wouldn't have been the same. It could have, I don't know. But I love that I could look back on all my like childhood crushes and my high school crushes and just like think about them fondly. Even when back then I was like, I will die for you. I will throw myself in front of a moving car for you. That's how much I love you.
Which there would never be a situation.
Never.
But you just want to prove that, you know, for me it was being a hero, and for you it was like, I'll die.
I will sacrifice myself for you.
All right, Sona. Well, I don't want to stop talking to you, but I know the cameras only have so much footage. We went a while.
Minute. Yeah. You might have to edit a lot of this out.
Yeah, maybe. George, I tell him all the time, I want to take out so much, and he, right or wrong, I trust him, so it is what it is, and I let him make that decision. I want things to just be like, you know what I mean? But this isn't a late night talk show. This isn't 5 minutes, and it's a I don't know, but George, feel free to take out an hour. Feel free to leave it all.
Yeah.
I never know.
Same, George.
But I can tell you what I do know. Whenever my girlfriend asks, how does it go? Sometimes I say, I think this is a great podcast. Usually I say, I don't know. I felt okay, or I loved how it went. I don't know how this podcast is. I do know I had, as I always do, especially with this fucking coffee, such a good time with you.
Yeah.
And if you would like to, I would love for you to come back again, and maybe we could talk about you this time. But I mean, I really, really, really enjoy talking to you and love doing this.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching still, thank you for, joining my Patreon or whatever. But
you're so good at this because you are very easy to have a conversation with. And you know what? You're a good listener. Betty's a lucky girl because, good listeners are tough to come by.
What makes you think I'm a good listener, even though I'm talking so much?
Because you listen to the things that I'm saying and you respond to them.
I'm honestly crying, almost.
Shut up.
My eyes are watering.
It's a
I don't know
great
why it's
trait in
triggering
someone. I mean, like, I brought up my
boring.
I thought we were done. I'm actually having a talk with you now. I brought up my husband a few times. One of the things I love about him is that when I say something, I feel like he listens to me and hears me. And that is so fucking important. And I think that you have that trait, and Betty's very lucky that she has that. Because, I think it's not many people
Thank
do
you.
that. Yeah.
I think that's making me feel this way because I don't know because I talk and I interrupt and I'm aggressive. And I think people think I don't, but I do. I feel like I listen and anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to email Bill right after this and tell him how aggressive you were.
I think Bill loves me.
You think?
I do. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
you know if someone likes you.
I know he likes me. I think Bill really has, not that I'm more special than other, extended work relationships he has, but I do think there is a, for better or worse, specific bond and relationship that Bill and I have that I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a combination of, one, the character he is, and two, the relationship that we have that was made him be able to send that email to me, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I've talked about this on the podcast, but years ago, Jackie, my ex, right?
Yes, yeah. I like Jackie a lot.
Love Jackie. When we were dating, we had a fight because she said I'm not listening to her. And I said to her, passive-aggressively probably, I listen and I retain. And I probably did 30 seconds of the last 30 seconds she said, word for word what she said, which she's not going to like because now it's like, it's passive-aggressive. Oh, really? I didn't watch this.
Oh.
I think she felt that way. And I was saying, yes, I did. And she's like, you're just staring at me with your mouth agape. And that's when I learned in my mid-20s that when people are talking, you have to go,
What? Well, there's no like.
But that's the dynamic that people do instinctually.
I think it's very obvious when someone is listening to you.
She thought I wasn't. People think I don't. That's why I'm being triggered.
Well, I never got that with you. And I think you can't have a nice conversation with someone if the other person isn't listening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
But most conversations aren't 2 hours like that. That's what I love about the podcast.
Yeah.
You don't... oddly enough, as much as we love each other and been around each other a lot, outside of Warner Brothers, we haven't had many conversations.
We haven't. That's true.
So they're during while you're working and while I'm being silly, and they're 10 minutes at a time. This is like these conversations I've had with so many of my guests that I've known for so long. You never have these types of conversations, so they're so great to have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's great. I love it.
It's hard to know I'm listening in a 5-minute conversation when I'm doing tons of bits.
And
I'm flattered that you think I do.
I think you're a great listener.
All right. I mean, this ended, and then you said I'm good at something, so
You're going to keep it in?
I went, it's up to George.
No, you don't. Yeah, it's up to George.
Maybe this will be Patreon only. I also, before I forget, want to make sure I get a pickup of me looking at you nodding with a mustache, because, George, there was a moment where, and there may be a few, but there's a moment where Sona said that, and I also like how, like, blah, 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 but you also could be so serious, and I wanted to cut back to me where I'm just looking with a mustache. So give me 1 second, let me get my mustache.
Do you?
I'm embarrassed. I normally have them on me.
I mean, oh my God, it is really close.
Yeah. It's a 1-bedroom, What am I going to have you have a mustache in every room. When I used to bring girls over, I would never sleep with them before I would either make them watch sketches that I've done or do a little bit with my mustache.
Is that a joke?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Imagine. Listen, before we get going, could you watch this Saturday Night Live sketch I did with John 8 years ago?
People would do that. There are comedians and like performers, not just comedians. I feel like I've been harsh on comedians, but performers out there who are like, watch this thing I did. And then before anything even happens.
Yeah, I know a lot of comedians, it's a power play to invite girls to watch them do shows. Mm-hmm. My thought is, listen, if you already like me, if I just got a double, why am I going to risk it and go another at bat trying to hit a triple or a home run? Like if you like me, it's an up. I bomb constantly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you watch my shit. If you're already over it, don't ever Google me.
Yeah. I love your stand-up. Do you miss it?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Do you miss, like...
Yeah.
This looks amazing.
Yeah.
You've just changed.
There's something about wearing a fake mustache and chewing gum that makes you a different person. You want to be confident? Chew on some gum. The problem is, I have TMJ disorder.
Oh.
So I have to find my confidence elsewhere.
Sorry about that.
What are you going to do?
That must suck.
All right, well, in case we kept this all in, now you're seeing full circle where the mustache came from, and that's the beauty of editing. My name is Rick Glassman. Today's guest is Sona Movsesian. And thank you so much, and make sure to check out their podcast and her Instagram, and we'll put it all in the description.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, is there anything you want to plug? As the hot ones do, this camera, or this camera that just shut off already, yours, so the 2-shot, or that camera. Why don't you tell us what you have going on in your life?
Oh, there's 2 cameras there. Which one shut off?
Your single just shut off.
Okay, that's what I keep looking at. So that guy.
Yeah. Or girl.
Do I have anything? No, I don't have anything to plug.
You heard it here first.
Watch Conan on TBS, which I am sometimes on, hosted by my boss. So keep me employed and watch it.
Also, I'm excited to say, we said we would do this off camera, but it's just people like to know the inside stuff. We are going to get Conan to come on the podcast, so thank you, Sona, so much for that.
Oh, what? You're sweet.
We'll figure it out once
Rick.
Once my show gets picked up and it becomes successful.
You'll be too busy. That mustache is incredible on you.
You can't spell mustache without must, and the reason I say that is because people think props are goofy, and I say, hey, you're absolutely right. And why is that a problem? My name's Rick Glassman. This is Sona Movsesian, guys.
Yay.
And thank you for having me at your wedding. I have found a new Mediterranean restaurant because of it.
Scoot doo, blabbity blue.